Referring to it freely.
That's so wrong. That was yeah, I'm sitting over here, so we don't have to.
Your buffer's going clean. Yeah, the up gas goes there. You find out who's black?
They were my readers.
You got mine today.
Should we tell the judge what we were doing?
Yeah. Did you give him 2 minutes? Oh, there's a recorder over there. Well, you're supposed to want to look at this week.
He was wondering
All rise.
Thank you. Welcome back to Court M. Have a seat. Okay, we're back on the record, State of Michigan versus Jason Dalton, file 160287FY. For the record, this morning, Mr. Dalton had one verbal outburst in court, and I explained the situation and warned him that that wouldn't be permitted. It was against the rules here for him to do that. And after that warning, a second time, he again made a verbal outburst and started to jump up from the chair while one of the witnesses was testifying. So the court, for security reasons, had Mr. Dalton removed from the courtroom at that time, and an attempt was made to have him in the building in a secure room, but the sheriff made the determination that there wasn't a safe place to have him participate in the proceedings by video here in the building. So he was transported out to the Kalamazoo County Jail, where he's now in a video room and can see and hear what's going on in the courtroom here today. And his attorney, Mr. Solis, will be given any opportunity that he desires to speak with his client on the telephone during today's proceedings in private, need be. Any objection to proceeding in this matter?
No objection, Your Honor. No, Your Honor, we have no objection. We believe that that's a fair and accurate representation of what happened this morning. We would only ask that Mr. Dalton or the deputy that's with him acknowledge that they can hear the proceedings before we get started with calling witnesses.
Okay, the deputy out there at the jail, can you maybe wave in front of the camera if you can hear what's going on? Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Very good. Mr. Solis?
I have no objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Then, Mr. Gedden, you may call Ms. Carruthers back to the stand.
Your Honor, one housekeeping matter, if I may, while Ms. Carruthers is coming in. I mentioned this in chambers, but there's People's Exhibit number 12. Council has a copy. It's a ballistics report authored by Michigan State Police's Jeff Crump. He'll be testifying later in the proceedings. But with the being no objection from the defense counsel, I'm going to provide a copy to the court now. I think it might help in understanding some of the prior testimony. So if the court would allow it, I'll present it with a copy of People's Proposed Exhibit number 12.
Any objection, Mr. Solis?
There is no objection.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Carruthers.
Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Okay, Ms. Carruthers. Just to remind you that you're still on the road, okay?
Okay.
All right, you're a witness, Mr. Gedden.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. Ms. Carruthers, thank you for your patience as we made arrangements so we could continue your testimony. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
Before we were interrupted, you were talking about what happened at the Meadows Apartments on February 20, 2016, and you had told us that a car, a silver SUV, had pulled up, asked you, are you Maisie, something to that effect, and then you had continued with your daughter and several other children towards a playground. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Where did the silver SUV go as you and the other you and your daughter and the other children began walking towards the playground?
It pulled off and then it stopped, and I continued walking with the children.
Were you walking towards where the SUV went or away from it?
No, we were walking away.
And then what happened?
A couple minutes went by, and we were getting close. We were to the park, like by the sidewalk, and I saw him coming back around. And this is all happening like really fast, but it's happening really fast. And I seen like a gun, him with like a gun out the window, and I was like, I didn't know if it was real or I didn't know if it was really happening. So I just, reacted fast, and I just told the kids to run. I didn't care what they heard or what they saw, to run and don't come back no matter what. And then I started screaming to the other children that were playing at the playground to run. And at that time, I began to run.
You said the car came back towards you, the silver SUV?
Yes, really fast.
And you said you could see a gun. Is that a yes?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Was it outside of the window of the car?
It was outside of the car, the window.
Outside of which window?
Of the driver's side.
The driver's side front, driver's side
Yes.
window?
Yes.
When you first saw the car and when you saw it the second time, how many people did you see in the car?
One person and a dog.
Was it a big dog, a little dog?
It was a big dog.
All right. So there's a person and a dog, and the single person that's in the car has a gun.
Yes.
And he's coming towards you,
Yes.
and you see the gun,
Yes.
and you tell the children to run.
To run. Yes.
You began yelling to the other children on the playground.
Yes, to run.
What are you yelling at them?
What am I yelling?
Yeah.
To run.
What are you doing?
I'm in the process of running too.
Where?
Running like towards just anywhere, just to take cover. I remember trying to run. I didn't even make it anywhere because I was, busy telling the children to run. I wasn't even, honestly, I wasn't concerned about myself. I was concerned about the kids.
How close did the man with the gun get to you?
Probably, I would honestly say from where you are to the front of this.
Your Honor, would the record reflect approximately 10 to 15 feet?
So noted.
So he got close enough for you to see him
Yes.
and to see the gun?
Yes.
And as you started to run away, and as you yelled at the children to run away, what happened?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
As you're telling the kids to run, and as you start to run because you see this man with a gun, what happened next?
I remember the first bullet hit me in my left arm. Then I remember the next one hitting in my right leg. And then I think it was my I'm sorry.
How many times did you end up getting shot?
4.
Were there more shots fired than hit you?
Yes, I just remember just shooting, and I just remember I tried to move, but I couldn't move. I tried to get under the car, but after I realized he wasn't gonna stop shooting, I just pretended like I was dead already. And after he pulled off, and I realized he was gone, that's when I started screaming for the kids. But I laid there just screaming for the kids. And the only person I had or anybody with me was the community came out, and a lady and a man told me that they had the children and that they were okay, because I wouldn't even respond if I was okay until I knew that the kids were okay.
How far were you able to run before you fell to the ground and were shot
I
repeatedly?
didn't even make it to the sidewalk.
Do you know what happened with the car? Where this person drove to next?
I remember him driving right, going around the park. As I laid there on the ground.
Can you describe for the judge the injuries you suffered? It's not important what order that you got them, but just tell us about what injuries you suffered as a result of being shot multiple times.
I was shot 4 times. Both of my femurs were broken. A bullet entered through my buttocks, and a bullet is in my liver. I also had my arm has been completely reconstructed. When I went to the doctors recently, when I looked at myself, I look like the bionic woman, literally. It doesn't even look real. My body doesn't look real, but I have metal in three different places in my body, screws and bolts. And I hurt every single day. Every single day I hurt. Every single day. Every single day.
The first time that the car pulled up to you and the driver said, asked for Mazzy or Maisie, whatever, how close did they get to you that time?
Probably from right here to right here. This close. Just from right here to here. Like right in my
Face to face.
Yeah.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witness has described a distance of approximately 2 feet. So you had a chance to get a look at the person who was driving this car?
Yes, I remember it. I remember everything about it. I could never forget anything. I could never forget his face. I see his face every time I go to sleep. I see his face all the time.
Did you see that person earlier today?
Yes.
Was he here in the courtroom?
Yes.
Is he in the courtroom now?
No.
I'm going to ask you to look to your right at the screen there. Do you see the person who shot you on
Yes, I
February
do.
20th?
Yes, I do. I could never forget his face. Ever.
Can you please describe what he's wearing and where he is?
An orange jumpsuit. I don't exactly know where, but
Is he on the screen?
yes, he is on the screen.
Your Honor,
In
may
an
the
orange
record reflect the identification of the defendant, Jason Dalton.
So noted.
Your Honor, I don't have any other questions at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Solis.
Thank you. Ms. Carruthers, I just have a few questions for you, okay? So when you were at the apartment complex, and you indicated this individual drove up, were you in the road or were you in the sidewalk?
We were in the road.
Okay. And when he drove up, you ended up on the same side as the driver's side?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Did you end up on the same side as the driver's side when he first pulled up?
Yes.
Okay. And how long did that whole episode take when he said, do you know Maisie?
It was, I'd say 2 minutes, maybe a minute.
Okay. A full 60 seconds?
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay. And then this individual drove away?
Really fast, yes.
Okay. And then you indicated he came back around?
Yes.
At some point, did you lose sight of the vehicle?
Yes.
And then you saw it again?
Yes.
Did you see the dog the first time that he pulled up?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Was the dog making any kind of noise?
Yes.
Okay. So the second time you said he was like 8 to 10 feet away.
Yes.
And when you said you saw a gun, could you tell whether he had it in his right hand or left hand?
I couldn't tell.
Okay. Was he completely stopped when you heard the shots being fired?
Yes.
When did you begin to run? Well, let me ask, that wasn't very clear. Did you begin to run before or after the car started moving?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again?
Yeah, let me rephrase, that wasn't very artful. The second time the vehicle came around, did it come to a complete stop or was it moving?
The second time when it came around, it was coming towards me, and then it stopped.
Okay. Okay. And how quickly was it that you turned away and started running?
It happened really fast. I just know it was really fast. I couldn't give you an exact time. I just know that it happened fast.
Okay. A matter of seconds?
Yes, a matter of seconds.
And when you began running and yelling at the kids, were you looking back or were you just looking at the children?
I was looking at the children.
Okay. And you indicated that you were at some point fell to the ground
Yes,
and were trying to get under a vehicle?
yes.
So were you between vehicles?
No, I wasn't between the vehicle.
There was just
There
one
was just
vehicle?
one vehicle on my left side.
Okay.
I believe it was a truck.
Okay. And how quickly could you tell if the car was moving during the shots or was the car standing still during the shots?
The car was still the entire time when he was shooting.
Okay. And at what point did you look back at the vehicle? Or did you?
Only time I remember looking back after he shot, but I looked really quickly before he started firing. That's when I noticed he was coming, and then after he was finished shooting, I saw him pulling off.
Okay. So could you tell then that whether it was his left hand or his right hand that was leaning out the window?
I'm sorry, no, I cannot.
Okay. And when you took the quick look, was that a matter of a second or two?
Yes.
And did he begin moving right after you took that quick look, do you know, or before that?
I waited till I knew he was gone and didn't see me. I waited till he was no longer looking towards me after he started shooting. That's when I started moving and screaming.
Okay. So the vehicle was already gone.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you ended up going to the hospital, is that right?
Yes.
And there was an officer who showed you photographs?
Yes, there was.
How many officers were in the room when you were shown the photographs?
I believe 2.
2? Okay. And did they show you a group of photographs or individual photographs?
I know there was several photos, but I don't.
Oh,
I'm getting audio, I think, from the jail. Something, I'm not sure.
I hear it, but I don't know where it's coming from, Jeff.
Okay, I'm sorry, but it's not the jail. It was, okay, we're good, sorry, thank you.
So the question was, did they show you a series of photographs or 6 at one time laid out in on a sheet?
I honestly can't remember, but I do know for a fact that there was several photos that I had to pick out which one.
Okay.
And I knew him. I knew who it was instantly when I saw
Well,
the picture.
the truth is, you went through at least 6 before you asked to look at another one, right? Is that true?
I'm sorry, I cannot recall that.
Okay. Well, you didn't say that's him the first time you saw his photograph, did you?
I don't believe so, no.
Yeah. But you just testified that you would never forget his face, right?
Yes, I did say that.
Okay. Thank you. I have nothing else.
Getting?
Thank you, Your Honor. Very briefly. How many times have you been shot at in your life?
I've never been shot at, ever.
Besides this one time on February 20th?
What's
Yes.
What's the relevance here?
You've questioned the basis for her identification. Clearly, this goes directly towards her ability to identify the person and the seriousness of this situation.
Well, this was removed, she was at the hospital. I mean, I don't see the connection. I'll let the judge rule.
I'll allow the question to continue. We'll see if it...
Is this the only time that you've been shot at in your life?
This is the only time I've ever been shot at in my life, ever.
Will you ever forget the person who shot at you?
No, I could never forget anyone who shot.
And did you, in fact, pick out Mr. Dalton's picture when you were questioned by the detectives or by the police at the hospital?
Yes, I did.
I have no other questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Further questions, Mr. Shields?
Were the photographs, Ms. Crothers, were they all presented to you in the same manner?
I'm sorry, could you?
Were all the photographs presented to you in the same manner?
Yes, they were.
You know, again, then if they were in the same manner, were they individually or in a group photo?
I'm sorry, do you mean like in the same order or the same? I'm like,
Well,
what do you mean in the
was
manner?
it shown to you and say you were allowed to look at it the same time frame?
Yeah, everything was
Or
the
were
same.
some longer than others?
No, never. They gave me photos. I looked at them maybe once or maybe twice. And the second time, I do believe that I pointed him out.
Thank you. I had nothing else.
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
May this witness be excused.
I have no objection.
I have no objection.
Thank you.
It's going to take just a second. Your Honor, the people called Jim Dunlop.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear from testimony you're about to give to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Very good. Please have a seat, state your name, and spell it for the record.
My name is James Dunlop, James Dunlop.
Your witness, Mr. Getty.
Mr. Dunlop, how are you employed?
I'm a sergeant with the Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Office, currently assigned to the Forensic Science Laboratory.
How long have you been a police officer?
For 22 years, I've been a sergeant in the crime lab for the past 15.
Do you have any specialized training working in the crime lab?
I do. Inside the lab, I'm a classically trained microscopist, which means that I use a wide variety of different types of styles of microscopes to analyze particles. Outside the laboratory, one of the main things I do is shooting scene reconstructions.
As part of your job duties on February 20th, 2016, were you involved in the investigation of a shooting that took place at the Meadows Apartments?
Yes, I was.
That location is here within the county of Kalamazoo, state of Michigan.
Yes, it is.
What was your role in the investigation?
The scene was, though there was a lot of personnel from the sheriff's office there, the scene was primarily worked by myself and laboratory technician Todd Neldon from the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety, where we divided tasks. Todd was the primary photographer and was responsible for seizing the evidence at the scene, while I did supplemental photographs and worked on the evidence pertaining to the reconstruction of the shooting scene.
In addition to the actual shooting scene at the Meadows, were you involved in further investigation of this case?
Yeah, pretty extensively in a number of things.
All right, so what chronologically, after the crime scene reconstruction that you and Deputy Neldon were involved in, where did you go next?
Throughout the course of the evening, I responded. After that scene, we took all the evidence back and secured it in the in the crime lab, and then laboratory technician Nelden went to the Seeley's location. I went to the Cracker Barrel location, where subsequent shootings had occurred at both those locations. After the defendant was taken into custody, I then responded back to the headquarters where he was being interviewed, performed some services there. I was then requested to go out to the vehicle which he was driving on Ransom Street and seize evidence at that location. And then I was diverted to another location in Comstock Township where another vehicle was recovered. And I obtained evidence and took photographs of that location. That pretty much took care of the first day. The several days throughout the next week, I was involved in a number of other evidence processing events where search warrants were obtained for the vehicles, and additional evidence was processed.
The scene in Comstock, where you indicated that you processed a scene at Comstock. Was that a house?
Yeah, it was a house on Durango Street. I was informed by the detectives that that was the defendant's parents' residence.
Specifically, what were you examining there at the Durango Street residence?
At that location, a Chevrolet Equinox, silver in color, had been discovered. That I was asked to photograph that, and then it was transported to Station 4-5s for processing. Additionally, I took custody of a Taurus 92F pistol that the defendant's wife had turned over to detectives, subsequently then turned over to me. And lastly, there was a black German Shepherd dog that they asked that I photograph at that residence as well.
Black German Shepherd, a big dog?
Yeah, it's a good-sized dog. It's young, but it's an impressive-looking dog.
The Taurus firearm, can you tell me what kind of a gun that is? Not brand, but caliber,
Yeah, it was a
type of weapon?
9mm auto-loading pistol.
And that was provided to you by whom?
It had been turned over by Carol Dalton to Detective Sergeant Johnson, who had set it on a bench, and it was sitting on that bench, and I was directed to it. I photographed it and seized it there.
And you described a vehicle, a silver Equinox. Is that an SUV?
It is, yeah, crossover style SUV.
Where was that at?
That was in the garage.
Were there any other vehicles in the garage?
I recall there was another vehicle in there. I think there was a Hummer in there as well.
The silver Equinox, did it have any damage to it?
There was damage on the passenger side of the vehicle.
Where on the passenger side?
It was pretty extensively distributed among the passenger side. It started at the front bumper area, went across the front quarter panel, also then on the front front passenger's side door, the rear passenger side door, the rear quarter panel, and the rear bumper cover. All had damage consistent with a side swipe type accident.
To your knowledge, had there been an incident subsequent to the 542 shooting at the Meadows involving a hit and run accident?
Shortly after the shooting was dispatched, a hit and run accident had been dispatched at the corner of Gull Road and G Avenue, where a silver colored SUV had run a red light, sideswiped a vehicle at that location, and then fled the scene eastbound on G Avenue.
As part of your investigation, were you able to compare the evidence from your silver Equinox on Durango Street to that hit and run accident?
I did.
How did that comparison take place?
The vehicle that was hit stayed at the scene, and that was a red Chevrolet Impala. And that vehicle was also impounded. So I procured samples from the paint of the red Impala, as well as procured samples from the defendant's silver Equinox. And those were compared through microscopic methods, a number of different tests. Those articles were subjected to a battery of tests. And I did identify paint, silver paint on the red car and red paint on the defendant's Equinox. But probably more importantly, I saw blue paint on there as well. And when I went back to the red Impala and looked at it, the driver's side rear quarter panel had been replaced, and that had been replaced with an aftermarket part that was originally blue in color. So the red paint had been painted over that. During this accident, when the defendant's vehicle struck the vehicle, the red Impala, the red paint and the blue paint were transferred onto the Equinox. So to say that the paints were similar in every respect. The red paint from the Impala was identical to the red paint that I found on the Equinox, and vice versa. The silver paint that I found on the Impala was similar to the defendant's silver paint in every respect. That's not terribly unusual because there's thousands of cars driving around with identical paint. Because of the geospatial locations of the accident, meaning the driver's side damage to the victim's vehicle, the Impala, and passenger side damage to the defendant's Equinox, the locations of them, in addition to those two different colored paints, the red and the blue paint, make it highly unlikely that any other vehicle was involved in this accident other than the defendant's Equinox.
And you've described it as the defendant's Equinox. Did you have an opportunity to examine the registration information for that silver Equinox?
I did. It was leased to Jason and Carol Dalton.
When you examined the silver Equinox registered to Jason and Carol Dalton, found in the garage at the Durango that belongs to Mr. Dalton's father-in-law, is that right? That residence?
Yeah, I believe it's his father's residence.
Father's residence? Excuse me. Did you find anything of any evidentiary value within the vehicle?
There were 5 shell casings inside the Equinox. Probably the most important. I seized a number of articles from that car, but probably the most important were 5 spent 9mm shell casings. Those were manufactured by the Winchester Company, so the head stamp on them said WIN 9mm Luger, and they were of a brass metal composition. 2 were on the driver's floorboard, 2 were behind the driver's seat, and 1 was located in the mat holder along the driver's side door.
When we talk about different types of firearms, are there firearms that automatically eject shell casings? Are there types of firearms that don't automatically eject shell casings?
Yeah, when we're talking about handguns, there are 2 basic types. A revolver has a revolving cylinder, and the shell casings stay inside that cylinder after the firearm is discharged. The other is a pistol, commonly referred to as an auto-loading pistol, and in that case, after the gun is discharged, the bullet or projectile goes out the barrel, and the shell casing is then automatically ejected from the firearm, and then through a course of a battery of operations, it's automatically reloaded and ready for the next shot.
You found 5 of these shell casings in the silver Equinox.
Yes, I did.
Visually, they were all the same?
Yes,
And you described them as 9mm Winchester shell casings.
that's correct.
Were you involved? Let me back up. Those 5 shell casings, were they seized by you and labeled as evidence?
Yes, they were.
And specifically, they were labeled under Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Department number KZ 34424. Is that right?
Yes.
Were you involved in seizing any of the shell casings from the scene at the Meadows?
Yes, I was.
How many shell casings did you find at the Meadows?
There were 10 shell casings that we saw at the Meadows. 9 of them were manufactured by the Winchester Company with a head stamp WIN 9mm Luger, and they also were a brass-colored metal alloy. The 10th shell casing that I observed at the Meadows was a nickel-colored shell casing manufactured by the Federal Company, and its head stamp was FC plus P plus 9mm.
Was that also a 9mm shell casing?
All 10 at the Meadows were 9mm.
And 9 of the 10 you indicated were Winchesters. Were they visually the same as the shell casings found in the Equinox?
Identical to those 5, yes, sir.
The shell casings that you found at the scene at the Meadows, were they found in a similar location or were they spread out?
They were spread out in linear fashion, pretty much from the south to the north. So in front of building 5111 apartment H, there was a Ford F-150 pickup truck that was also struck with gunfire at that location. Most of those 10 shell casings were found in the area immediately in front of that. Some had even rolled underneath the pickup truck. And then the rest were dispersed in line form as you travel from the south to the north.
You indicated that there was evidence that this Ford F-150, that's a pickup truck, is that right?
Yes, sir.
That this pickup truck had been struck by gunfire?
It had.
Was there evidence of any place else that had been struck by gunfire?
Oh, extensively, yeah. There were 7 bullet impacts to apartment H. 4 of those perforated an exterior service closet and then perforated an interior wall of apartment H before stopping inside of a closet. The other 3 that struck the exterior failed to penetrate. They only broke the vinyl siding, but failed to penetrate the OSB sheeting inside. There was also 2 ricochet marks on the door of the F-150 pickup truck and 4 ricochet marks on the sidewalk, and then at least 2 spalling marks or marks where the concrete curb had been broken up. Now, in addition to that, there was a number of linear marks or bullet tracks through the grass and dirt area immediately surrounding the area of that F-150 pickup and the sidewalk. Some of those are duplicates, meaning the ricochets from the concrete then traveled across the grass, leaving those marks before going up into and perforating that service closet of apartment H before finally coming to rest inside the apartment.
I'm curious, it went through the exterior wall, traveled across a room, and into a closet on the other side of the room?
Correct, yeah. It perforated an exterior wall, traveled through what was like a water access service closet, and then it again perforated another now interior wall and went into the apartment inside apartment H. And that was 4 of those bullets. All 4 of those bullets, incidentally, were recovered inside that closet.
The bullets that were recovered from this crime scene, were they consistent with a 9mm bullet?
Yes, they were.
Was Miss Carruthers still there when you were processing the crime scene?
She had been taken to the hospital prior to my arrival.
Was there markers where she had been? Was it obvious where she was on the ground?
Yeah, there was bloody clothing that had been removed from her by medical first responders and by deputies prior to her being transported.
How far away were the shell casings that you found?
From the bloody clothing?
Yes.
Approximately 10 feet from the ones that would be directly in front of, 10 to 12 feet directly in front of the F-150 pickup. And then the others, as you travel south to north, heading towards the grassy area to the north where the playground is, that would be probably somewhere 30 to 40 feet away.
So the furthest was 30 to 40 feet away, and the closest, as you got closer to where Miss Carruthers was on the ground, was within 10 feet.
About 10 to 12 feet, approximately, yes, sir.
Were you responsible for collecting any evidence from Miss Carruthers' person?
I personally didn't. I did have bullet fragments turned over to me by medical personnel after her surgery, and there were 2 separate occasions. On one occasion, the bullet fragments were turned over to Deputy Briggs and then logged into evidence. On the second occasion, during her second surgery, the bullet fragments were turned over to me, and then I logged those into evidence.
You said that in addition to the scene in Comstock, you had also responded to the scene at the Cracker Barrel?
I did briefly.
Were you responsible for processing that scene, or was that being done by someone else?
That was being done by the state police.
And you indicated that your partner, Mr. Nelden, Officer Forensic Nelden, he had responded to the Sealy scene?
He did.
And did you respond to the Sealy scene as well?
I never went to that scene, no.
After having processed the scene at the Meadows, were you also part of processing the scene where Mr. Dalton was arrested?
Yes.
All right. What was your role there?
Well, they were actually, I guess it would be divided into two. My task there, first, I was asked to respond to the headquarters where he was being interviewed. And at that location, I procured SEM gunshot residue stubs from his hands. And I also photographed him in the clothing that he was wearing at that time. And upon exiting that room, then some more evidence that had been removed from him had been turned over to me. And that specifically was a ballistic vest that was given to me by Lieutenant Ostrander.
Let me back up just a minute. You talked about SEM strips. What's an SEM strip?
SEM stands for scanning electron microscopy, and basically these are small stubs that have an adhesive material on them, and you would apply them to a subject's hands who you believe may have been in close proximity to gunfire or the discharge of a firearm, and that would then capture small elemental pieces. Specifically, they're looking for barium, lead, and antimony fused together as spherical particles, and that's what we recognize as gunshot residue.
So you were part of that testing process
Correct.
with Mr. Dalton, and that you took these adhesive strips, these SEM strips, then and applied them to Mr. Dalton,
Correct.
and then they were subsequently placed into evidence.
Yes.
You also photographed Mr. Dalton in the clothes he was wearing. Can you describe for us what he was wearing that night, if you recall?
Yeah, he had a pair of blue jeans and a black sweater with kind of a high collar on it.
And you said you were given a piece of evidence from Lieutenant Ostrander. Is that David Ostrander of the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety?
Yes, sir.
What did Lieutenant Ostrander provide you with?
He gave me a ballistic vest, which is to say a bulletproof vest similar to what law enforcement personnel would wear. He indicated that that had been removed from Mr. Dalton's.
I have no response. Lieutenant Ostrander provided you with a vest. I'm not interested in what he told you about where he got it. He provided you with a ballistic vest. Did he provide you with any other items of evidence?
Not from memory.
Do you know whether or not you received a knife?
I seized the knife from the vehicle. It was after I had received the ballistic vest. I was asked to respond out to the location on Ransom Street where the vehicle was stopped, and at that location, I seized several articles. Members of the Department of Public Safety had still been setting a perimeter around that vehicle, and I made contact with PSO Brooks, who took me to the vehicle, and it was at that location that I seized one folding knife, a Boker-style folding knife, a couple of J.C. Penney receipts, but most specifically was a Walther P99 9mm auto-loading pistol.
What type of vehicle was it that you processed there at the scene?
It was a 2007 Chevrolet HHR. It was black in color.
Do you know who that vehicle was registered to?
I believe that was registered to Terry Dalton and Jeannie Dalton. I believe those are the defendant's parents.
You indicated that within that vehicle you found a knife. Where was that found?
All of those articles had been placed on top of the roof of the vehicle by the time I got there.
And so your job was to secure those items, examine them, place them into evidence.
Yeah, right. I photographed them where they were and then took them back to my vehicle where the pistol was rendered safe, meaning to say that I unloaded it because it was fully loaded. And then those articles were then transported back to the lab before they were eventually packaged and submitted to the evidence room.
You indicated that one of the items that you then seized and submitted as evidence was a 9mm Walther P99.
Yes, sir.
Tell me what kind of firearm that is.
That's an auto-loading pistol. As we had previously described with auto-loading pistols, there's a magazine with a source of ammunition that's loaded into the magazine well, and that then after the firearm is charged and a cartridge is loaded into the chamber, every time the trigger is pulled, a projectile or a bullet will go out through the barrel, and then the shell casing will be extracted and ejected from the firearm before an auto-loading process then completes with a new cartridge being seated in the chamber ready for the next pull of the trigger. It'll fire again.
The 9mm Walther, was that then seized, placed into evidence, and then submitted to the Michigan State Police Laboratory as Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Department package number 3?
Yes.
If you recall, is that item serial, or is the serial number of that weapon 016443?
That sounds right, but I know the serial number's in my report.
I don't have any other questions at this time, Your Honor. Thank you.
I don't have any questions of this witness. Can this witness be excused? You may. Thank you.
Your Honor, we have the next witness we'll be calling is Alexis Cornish, but wanted to give the court or Mr. Solis an opportunity if they needed to touch base with the defendant. We've been through some witnesses now. I don't know if there's any desire to have contact. I'm happy to go forward, but also happy to take a break and allow that to happen.
Mr. Solis, you're
Well, it just struck me that if I do converse with my client, that the deputies are not going to leave him alone. So that's an issue. But honestly, based on the evidence that I've had before me so far, I don't think it's necessary at this point. If I feel a need to, I would ask the court to allow me.
Thank you, Mr. Solis. Okay. Present your next witness.
Thank you. It's Alexis Cornish, Your Honor.
You can go right up there to this chair over there.
Raise your right hand, please. You solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Very good. Please have a seat. Make sure you get close enough to speak into the microphone there, and if you would state your name and spell it for the record, please.
Alexis Cornish, ALEXISCORNISH.
Mr. Williams, your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We talked about this before, but I'll remind you, just make sure you speak up and project your voice as best you can so we can make a record. Alexis, how old are you?
17.
You work, go to school?
School.
Okay. What year are you in school?
Junior.
Okay. Do you live in the Kalamazoo area?
A little bit.
General area.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And how long have you lived in Kalamazoo?
My whole life.
Okay. You remember February of this year?
Yes.
Do you know who Tyler Smith is?
Yes.
How'd you know Tyler Smith?
He was my boyfriend.
How long had you guys been dating?
9 months.
9 months as of February?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to be clear about the times. Do you know Richard Smith?
Yes.
How do you know him?
He's the dad of Tyler.
Okay. And you known him about the same amount of time that you've known Tyler?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you with Tyler on the 20th of February of this year?
I was.
Were you with his dad also?
Yes.
What were you doing that day?
Car shopping.
Did you spend the whole day car shopping?
Second half of the day.
Okay, what time did you guys start looking at cars?
About noon.
And did that carry on and off through into the evening hours?
Yes.
Did you go look at cars at more than one dealership?
Yes.
What I'm going to ask you about now is a specific dealership. Did you go to Sealy Motors on Stadium Drive?
We did.
Is that in Kalamazoo County in the state of Michigan, as far as you know?
Yes.
What time did you guys get to the Sealy lot?
8, 9.
Okay. Was it dark out then?
Yes.
How was the lighting in Sealy's lot that night?
Pretty bright.
Okay. You could see everything that was going on. Okay.
Yes.
How'd you get to the Sealy lot?
Tyler drove
Okay.
There.
Whose car did he drive?
his Range Rover.
Okay. You said his dad was with you, right?
Yes.
Where was his dad sitting?
In the passenger seat.
And where were you?
In the back.
What happened when you guys first pulled into Sealy?
Tyler and his dad got out of the car to look at a blue truck.
Okay. Did you get out and look at the truck?
No,
Why not?
because I don't know anything about trucks and it was cold outside and I was tired.
So did you stay in the back seat of the car?
Yes.
What'd you do while you were in the back seat?
Watch them look at the truck.
Was the car running?
Yes.
And you could see them, and from what you saw, they could see the car. Okay.
Yes.
All right. At some point, while they were looking at the car, did you see another car enter the Sealy lot?
I did.
What did it look like to you?
Black and like the long version of a PT Cruiser.
Okay. Your Honor, can I approach the witness?
You may.
Your Honor, I'm going to hand Ms. Cornish what I have marked for identification at this point as People's Exhibit number 7. Your Honor, I'll state for the record, too, that's one of the issues. What I've handed her is a still photo that was extracted from the Sealy surveillance video, which was a part of the stipulation as to foundation. Do you recognize that photograph?
I do.
What's happening in that photograph?
The car is pulling into the Sealy.
Sealy Motors. Can you just maybe hold that up and show the judge where the car is that you are in?
The gray one facing the truck.
And where is the car that passed you?
Right beside it.
And that's the car that you described before.
Yes.
Is that an accurate depiction of how things looked to you when that car passed you?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask for the admission of that exhibit, please.
An objection, voir dire?
No, Judge.
Agreed. Admitted as People's Exhibit number 7.
Did you see where that car went after it went past you?
I didn't. I thought it went out of Sealy.
Okay. But you don't know, it went past and that was the last you thought of it?
Yes.
Which way was the car you were in facing where Richard and Tyler were looking at the truck?
Can you explain?
Yeah, sure. Let me ask that in a better way. Could you see Richard and Tyler when you were in the back seat?
Yes.
Where did you have to look to see them?
Straight in front.
Okay, so they were
Forward.
right in front of the car. Were the headlights on in the car at that time?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see someone else come into your frame of vision while you were in the back seat?
I did.
What'd that person look like?
He was like not too tall, not too short, and he was a little bit bigger and had gray hair.
Bigger,
and
like
glasses.
taller or heavy?
Heavy.
Okay.
And he had gray hair and glasses.
Could you see what he was wearing?
He was wearing a black coat and all black from what I saw.
What direction, again, if you're sitting in the back seat looking forward at the blue truck, what direction did he come from?
He came from behind the Range Rover.
And you put your hand up, so to your left,
So,
you'd soak to your left,
yeah.
so back and to your left, he passed you?
Yeah.
What did he do when he walked past you?
He walked up to Tyler and his dad and asked them what they were looking at.
Did you hear him say that?
Yes.
Did Tyler and his dad respond?
They turned around and went to tell them that they were looking at the blue truck, but they didn't get the chance to tell them.
So you never heard Tyler or Richard respond?
Well, they did. They turned around and were like, yeah, we're looking at blah, blah, blah. And that's all the words that they got out at that time.
Why weren't they able to say any more?
Because he pulled out the gun and started shooting.
When you say he, you mean the person that you saw come back from your back left and that you described earlier?
Yes.
Where did he pull the gun from?
I think his sleeve or his pocket.
Okay. Could you see the gun?
Yes.
Did you see him fire the gun?
Yes.
Did you see Richard and Tyler when the person you saw fired the gun?
Yes.
What did Richard and Tyler do?
They looked at them and they put their hands up and they said, "What are you doing?" And they fell down. And that's when I ducked behind the seat so
Okay.
he couldn't look at me.
When you ducked behind the seat, could you still see what was happening, or was that your extent of seeing what was going on there?
That's what I saw. That's the last thing I saw at that moment.
Do you have any idea how many shots that person fired?
Enough not to miss.
Yeah. Do you have any idea a number?
No.
More than a couple?
Yeah.
After you ducked down, what's the next thing that you saw?
I sort of lifted my head up to see out the front of the car, and he went to look at the black vehicle that was by the blue truck.
When you say he, you mean the person that fired the gun?
Yes.
Okay.
And he went to try and open the door to that vehicle, and it was locked because it wasn't the right car.
You mean was it another car that was offered for sale there?
Yeah.
Okay. What did that person do next?
He turned around and walked away, back from the direction that he came from.
So did he walk again past the driver's side of the car you were in?
Yes.
Did he ever stop and look in your car?
No.
Did you get a look at him as he was walking back past you?
Not a very good look.
Okay. Did you see where he went after he left your field of vision?
I didn't.
I did. Doesn't make sense. Did you see where he went while you were watching him?
No.
What did you do after you lost sight of that person?
I sat up in my seat and looked around the car to see if he was around, and
Did you see anyone when you looked around?
no.
Did you see any other cars?
No.
Okay. How long do you think you wait before you sat up? Do you have any idea?
A couple minutes.
Okay. What'd you do next?
I got out of the car and looked around to see if I could see any shadows or anything, and then I went and grabbed Tyler's phone out of his pocket and called 911.
Okay. Did you see Tyler and Richard when you went to grab the phone?
Yes.
Were they moving at all?
No.
You grabbed the phone. Did you make the call right there, or did you go somewhere
I
else?
went back in the car.
Okay. Did you call 911?
Yes.
Did you tell them what happened?
Yes.
And eventually, did the police show up to the scene?
Yeah.
When you, I want to go back to when you said you saw the, that person pulling the trigger of the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Could you see anything coming out of the gun while the person was firing?
Yeah.
What'd you see?
I saw little gold bullets come out.
Okay. Were they just kind of spilling out of the gun? I have nothing further on.
Mr. Solis.
Ms. Cornish, I just have a couple questions for you. So when you saw this individual shooting, did he have his back towards you?
He was side view.
Side view?
Mhm.
And you had indicated that after this happened, he had tried to open a vehicle?
He tried to open a vehicle in front of us. So the one that was for sale.
Okay. And how long did he stand at that vehicle when he was doing that?
A few seconds.
This individual, what else did he do? Was he looking around, or?
He did for a minute, and then he left.
So when you say for a minute, was it actually a minute or two, or just a few seconds?
Estimate.
I'm
I
sorry?
was just estimating.
Okay.
I don't know exact time.
But it was for a little bit that caused you to pause and stay in the car?
Yeah.
And all this happened before you dug down under the seat?
Yes.
I have nothing else.
Nothing additional, Your Honor?
May this witness be excused?
No objection.
Okay. We can leave that. Call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. People call Technician Todd Nelson.
You swear affirm testimony you're about to give, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, sir.
Very good. Please have a seat. State your name and spell it for the record.
Todd Neldon, Todneldon.
Where is your witness?
Sir, what do you do?
I'm employed by the City of Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety.
How long you been doing that?
20 years.
What's your specific assignment?
I'm assigned to the Criminal Investigation Division, the Crime Lab.
Okay, how long you been doing that?
10 years.
Do you have any specialized training as a crime lab employee?
I do.
What kind of things are you training in?
Crime scene investigation, accident investigation, photography, evidence collection, evidence examination, etc.
Were you working in that capacity on February 20th of this year?
I was.
How were you involved in the case that brings us here today?
I was called on my way to work at around 6 o'clock from Lieutenant Meisner asking if I could, when I responded to work, if I could respond to 5111 High Meadow at the request of the Sheriff's Office, reference to a shooting investigation.
And just, well, I'll skip ahead a little and then I'll get more specific. You actually visited a number of different scenes in the course of investigating this case, correct?
Yes, I did.
Can you just list for us what scenes you were present at, and then we'll speak about each of them more
Certainly. I
specifically.
responded to 5111 High Meadow, 4102 Stadium Drive, Sealy, Kia, and I also responded to Douglas Avenue, the residence of Mr. Dalton.
Okay. Let's start chronologically. You mentioned that you responded to the Meadows area. What did you do there?
I responded there. I actually took crime scene photographs, documented locations of evidence found, and collected those particular items that I located.
Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. We've also, did you work with Lieutenant Dunlop at the High Meadows scene?
Be Sergeant Dunlop?
Sergeant
Yes.
Dunlop, thank you. Did you
Yes.
work with him there?
I did.
And since he's already testified, I won't want to duplicate his testimony, but did you locate some shell casings there at High Meadows Drive?
I did.
And how would you describe those shell casings?
They were all in a tight-knit group or an area there right out in front of apartment H, which is on the north end of 5111 High Meadow.
And did you photograph those?
I did.
Did you package them and label them as evidence?
I did.
What did you do with them after that?
After those were packaged, they were placed in our laboratory and turned over to Sergeant Dunlop.
And eventually, if you know, were they eventually submitted for further processing?
I believe so, yes.
And now we chatted before this, and this hopefully will help indicate the court. You're familiar with Jeff Crump of the Michigan State Police, right?
Yes, I am.
And we took a look at his the report that he prepared in this matter, right?
Yes.
And we looked it over, and the casings that you found that you described were submitted to him and have been described in his report as items 15 and 15A through I. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the next scene, you said you responded to Sealy Motors, correct?
That is correct.
What was your role there?
I also took crime scene photographs there, as well as documented and collected evidence at that location as well.
What evidence did you collect at that location?
Located bullets and casings at that location.
How many casings did you find there?
16.
Where were they arranged?
The location of our two victims, there was an SUV that the victims had come in. They were around the north side of that vehicle and around to the front of that vehicle and near the victims.
I said, when you say north side, would that be driver's side or passenger side?
It would be the driver's side of that vehicle, as the vehicle was facing easterly.
And where were were all the casings in one tight grouping, or were they moved in different places around?
They were in a pretty close area in proximity to the vehicle and the victims.
And did you photograph those and package them as evidence?
Yes, I did.
You also mentioned that you found 2 fragments, correct?
It'd be one fragment at that location and one bullet at that location.
Thank you for the correction. Where did you locate those?
The bullet was located on the driver's side of the vehicle on the parking lot, and the fragment was located on the passenger side of that vehicle.
Were you able to determine anything about them by looking at those?
I did not.
How about the shell casings? Were you able to determine anything looking at those?
Yes, I did.
What did you determine from examining those?
They were a 9mm casing, and all of them were Winchester.
Now, again, as I asked you before, are you aware that this evidence that you see eventually was forwarded on to Jeff Crump for analysis?
Yes.
And again, kind of like before, we looked at the report, matched up the evidence numbers, and are these reflected in Jeff Crump's reports as numbers 21 through 28 and 30 through 39?
I'd have to look at
You want to
that
Can I approach,
report.
Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Copy here. And then there's your numbers, and then I'm corresponding your numbers here to his numbers there. So take these.
Yes, it appears from this report that those are indeed the particular items that I had processed.
Were you able to identify the? Did you see victims on the scene at Sealy Motors?
I did.
Were you able to identify them?
We were later I able to identify them, yes.
And what were their names?
It was Tyler, I know the first name is
Smith.
Tyler Smith, and I cannot remember his father's name, but
Richard Smith?
Richard Smith, yes.
Any other evidence that you took from the scene at Sealy?
Yes, I did.
What was that?
We later found out by looking at the surveillance video that the person or the suspect in this incident actually, after shooting the victims, walked to the east and actually appeared to have touched the black BMW that was parked just east of the blue truck that Mr. Smith and Tyler Smith were looking at. And so I took 2 DNA swabs, one from the driver's door handle, front door handle, and the driver's rear door handle, as I wanted to make sure that I had processed both handles, just to make sure that the view that I had from the surveillance video, or the officers had from the surveillance video, was correct. And then I also processed the door handles and actually retrieved one latent print.
And did you submit that for further testing?
Yes.
Do you know the outcome of that testing?
I do not.
Finally, now, you said you were present at a search on Douglas.
Yes.
Is that be 7031 Douglas?
Yes, I believe so.
What was the purpose of you going there?
That was the residence of Mr. Dalton, and Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Office actually filled out a search warrant, and we, myself and lab technician Thomas from our lab, went to execute that search warrant.
Did you guys do a thorough search of the scene?
Yes.
Did you find firearms there?
Yes.
Just generally, how many firearms did you find?
I believe there was 19.
And did you catalog those and photograph them and package them all into evidence?
Yes, I did.
I want to ask you specifically about a handgun. Did you find a Glock handgun there?
I did.
Your Honor, can I approach? And you would have marked just for identification now as People's Exhibit number 8. Does that look familiar to you?
Yes, it does.
What is that?
This is the photograph of the Glock Model 19 9mm semi-auto handgun that I located.
Where'd you find that handgun?
In the basement of Mr. Dalton's residence, to the right of the stairwell at the bottom, in the south, would be the southwest corner of the basement, is a small room that is lockable. Has a door with a doorknob lock as well as a deadbolt. And inside that room was a, for lack of a better term, a hunting and fishing type, or hunting type room where he does his reloading, and had various types of sporting items. And also inside that room, off of that room to the north, there's a small room with a reinforced steel mesh door as well.
Did you eventually package that firearm that we described in Exhibit number 8 there and send it to the Michigan State Police Lab?
Yes, I did.
And again, is it correct, again, trying to relate this back to what Mr. Crump will be testifying about later, you identified that as your evidence number 128830?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Can I approach again, Your Honor?
Amen.
Looking again at Detective Crump's report up here. Yeah, right. I'm sorry, right there.
Yes.
So is it correct to say that the item that you've described and that's portrayed in People's Exhibit number 8 is in Lieutenant Crump's report as item number 43A?
Yes.
Did you find any ammunition there as a part of your search?
Yes, I did.
How much ammunition did you find?
More than I can count.
Okay. Do you remember how much was any of that specifically for a 9mm?
I had 9mm, yes.
Do you have any idea exactly how much?
I don't.
That's all I have for Technician Elwood.
Regard to Exhibit 8A.
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask that that be admitted.
Any no objection? I'll admit Exhibit A. 8.
8, yes.
Sorry, Mr. Solis, your witness.
So, Officer Nelden, turning your attention to the high metals scene that you went to, you had indicated that you found casings that were in a tight-knit group?
Yes, within probably 30 feet, 25, 30 feet of each other.
Did you ever find any casings that were more in a linear fashion?
Some of them were in a straight line, and then some were kind of in a tight-knit group.
Okay. And then at the scene of the scene, you indicated you found a bullet. Do you mean the projectile portion that's shot, or the entire bullet with the casing?
The projectile.
And where was that located?
That was located on the driver's side of the Land Rover, Range Rover vehicle that the victims drove in.
So after viewing the video, and you were told that this individual touched a vehicle, you obtained a latent print.
Yes.
And was it identifiable?
I did not examine it. It's passed on to our latent print unit to have them examine it.
Okay. Well, was it good quality?
I think it was.
Okay. And then you took a couple of DNA swabs as well.
That is correct.
You then go to Douglas Street. Whose residence was that?
That was Mr. Dalton's.
And the Glock handgun, did you confiscate all the guns or just that?
All the guns.
Was testing done on all the guns or just this one?
I know it's done on the Glock. I don't know if any of the other guns were examined.
Okay. I have nothing else.
Mr. Williams, any additional questions?
I have nothing additional.
This witness be excused.
No objection.
No objection. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Now the people would call Richard Solomon. Come on in. You could go right up in front of the judge. He's going to swear you to testify.
You solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Yes. Go ahead and have a seat. If you would please state your name and then spell it for the record.
Richard Solomon, Solomon, second.
Name your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. Mr. Solomon, do you live in Kalamazoo?
I live in Portage, actually.
How long have you lived in Portage?
Just over about a year and a half, somewhere in that area.
Where did you live before that?
Elkhart, Indiana.
On February 20th of 2016, were you in Kalamazoo County?
Yes, I was.
That night, did you have any reason to be going to the Cracker Barrel restaurant on 9th Street near
Yeah.
I-94?
Yes, I was taking my wife for a car.
I'm trying to figure out, you're taking your wife a car, so she was already at the
Yeah,
Cracker Barrel?
Yes, she's the manager there, and she had to close. My son had borrowed her car, so I was taking her car back with my son.
So you and your son are together?
Well, he was following me in her car, and I was in my car.
Two cars, you're going to
Yeah,
drop
yes.
one for your
Yes,
wife
we're
so
dropping
she
one
can
off,
get home?
yes.
I got it. About what time were you going there?
It was just after 10 o'clock when we left the house, our apartment.
And that was in Portage?
Yes,
And did you drive directly there?
yes.
And your son was driving, was he following you or were you following him?
No, he was following me.
Can you give me an estimate? Take you like 20 minutes or so to get to,
Probably about between 10 and 15 minutes, probably.
all right, so you left your house, your son was following you, you drove directly to the Cracker Barrel.
Yes,
This the Cracker Barrel Drive, I-94, 9th Street Cracker Barrel?
yes, yes.
Describe for us what happened as you were getting there.
As we were just getting into there, when you come around on Cracker Barrel Boulevard, it basically ends in a cul-de-sac. Well, the Cracker Barrel restaurant, you have to turn it to the right to go in. And as I was going to turn in, an HHR came out right in front of me. I mean, within probably 2 feet of hitting the front end of my car. And I thought that was weird, so I just drove on in. And as I came up to the store, my wife was standing at the corner looking at the side of the building. She didn't know what was happening. She had heard noises and came out. And so I asked her what the deal was, and I told her about that car. I thought that he had just got in, just skipped out on a check, and she was coming to see if she could find out who it was. License plate or something.
The HHR, do you recall if it was, what color it was? Or
It was
if
dark blue. I mean, he didn't have his headlights on. My headlights hit his car square. And I saw him just out of the corner of my eye. I saw him right before, as I was turning in. I saw the whole front end of his car and everything as he was coming in.
And it was an HHR,
Yes,
dark colored.
yes.
Your headlights were on?
My headlights were on. His was not.
Were you able to get a look at the driver of the HHR?
Yes, I did.
Could you describe him?
He was a heavier set man. And as I told the officer, I said I didn't think he was as big as me, but he was bigger than average. He did have facial hair, but I couldn't tell if he had anything on the side, but I did see something on the front. Other than that, I didn't get that much more of a really good look at him because he looked at me and he turned his head real quick.
What about race?
He was white.
Did you could you see what he was wearing at all?
No, I just saw his darker clothes.
Your Honor, may I approach?
You may.
I'm going to show you what's previously been marked as People's Exhibit 9 for the purpose of identification. And ask you to look at that. Do you recognize what's being shown in that picture?
Yes.
Where do you recognize it from?
That's the Cracker Barrel's parking lot. That's one of their security cameras.
What's the picture of?
The HHR.
Is that the HHR that almost hit you as you were entering into the
Yes.
Cracker Barrel parking lot? Your Honor, I'd ask that the People's Exhibit 9 be admitted.
Mr. Solis, any objection or voir dire?
Can I just take a quick look at it just for a second?
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right.
May I borrow you just a little bit, Jeff?
You may.
So, you've been to that Cracker Barrel several times, I take it.
Yes.
Is that how you recognize the?
I recognize the sidewalk and the grounds and also the fence on the other side of the street, as well as the way the parking lot's laid out there.
Okay. When was this photo taken?
I don't know when that photo was taken for sure. I mean, I just know that everything else is the same. And it is an HHR, and it looks like it's the same one that I almost hit.
So you don't know when this photo was taken?
Not offhand, no.
You don't know whether it was the night that this HHR almost hit you?
No.
Or that it's the same HHR photograph? Or
It appears to be the same one.
Okay. I have nothing else.
Your Honor, I would renew my request that it be admitted as Exhibit 9.
Exhibit 9 is admitted.
The man that you saw driving the HHR, was the car, you said it almost hit you. Can you
Yes.
describe how it was driving or being driven?
Well, as I was coming in, I saw him coming out, and he didn't have his headlights on at first. But as he was coming out, he came through the middle of the entranceway instead of going off to the right or to the left. He was coming out dead center, and so when I came in, I didn't have room to get in between him and the sidewalk, basically.
Was the car going fast or slow?
He was picking up speed as he was going out because he almost went straight across the whole cul-de-sac and then had to come back. So he was, and my wife told me that she had seen him speed up as he was coming out. Okay.
When you got in, though, your wife had come outside of the restaurant and was
Yes.
on the sidewalk?
Yes.
Can you describe what her emotional state was?
She was just inquisitive. She didn't know what had happened.
But something had drawn her attention and brought her outside.
Yeah, she had heard noises and she thought that somebody was working on the store and nobody was scheduled to be there.
After you met your wife outside, what did you do next?
Well, she said that it couldn't have been too...
I'm not offering it for the truth of the matter asserted, Your Honor, only to explain what his actions were.
You can simply say that I did this following a conversation with my wife.
You talked to your wife, and then
Okay.
what did you do?
Well, I talked to my wife, and she pointed out there was 2 cars over there. One of them was running, and there was a van right next to the car. So I looked over at the car, and the back window did not look right. The back passenger window did not look right. So I went over to see what had happened, and when I got there, the lady in the back's head was leaning on the door. You could actually see like her hair coming through the hole in the window. And that's when I yelled for her to call 911.
You yelled back to your wife to call
Yes.
911?
Yes.
Describe the conditions of the car.
The little red car was shot everywhere. I looked inside. The car was running. The lights were on inside the car. And I looked inside, and there was no movement inside at all when I walked by it the first time. Then I went over and looked at the van, and the driver of the van was leaning forward onto the steering wheel, and there was no movement. I yelled and everything else. There was no movement on that one either. But when I went back over to look at the red one again, the lady in the back seat behind the driver actually moved a little bit and then stopped.
So there were people in each of the cars?
Yes. I only saw 3 in the red car and the one driver of the van.
Did any of them say anything to you?
No.
Did they appear to have any injuries?
The lady in the van, I actually saw some matting on the hair from blood or something. But that's only because her head was leaning forward and it looked like it was on the outside of her hair. But at that point, I didn't even know it was a lady. I thought it was a guy with long hair too, because I didn't. There was no movement, so I couldn't look inside.
Did you go inside the vehicles at all?
No,
Did you touch any of the victims?
no,
Did you get a good enough look at the person who was driving that HHR to recognize him if you saw him again?
I think I did. Yes,
Do you see him anywhere here in the courtroom?
yes,
Where?
on the TV screen. That's the face
Can you
that I saw
describe
looking
what
at
he's
me.
wearing?
I can't describe what you. Oh, you mean on the screen?
On the screen.
Yeah, he's wearing the orange suit.
Thank you, Your Honor. May the record reflect the identification of the defendant.
So noted.
I have no other questions at this time, Your Honor.
Mr. Sewers, you testified a little while ago that you didn't really get a really good look at him.
I got a good look at his face before he turned, but I couldn't see the side of or his face to see if he had a beard or not.
Okay.
But when he turned, when I first saw him, he was looking straight out the door at me, then turned his head.
You never told the officers that you could identify him, did you?
I couldn't have identified him because I didn't know who he was.
But you just identified him just a second ago to the prosecutor.
By
is that
look,
right?
by his looks, yes, I can identify him.
Is that because you've seen photographs of this
No.
individual?
Nope.
But you have seen photographs of this individual since then,
Yes, I
right?
have.
Yeah. And today's the first time you've identified him.
Today is the first time I've been asked to identify him. Yes.
So you saw the photographs. How long ago have you seen the photograph of Mr. Dalton?
I don't know.
Months? Weeks?
I don't know. I don't know when I first saw him.
It was quite a while ago, though, right?
It could have been, yes.
Yeah. Did you call the police and say, hey, I can identify this individual I saw?
No, I figured that they'd come out and try him.
Or did you say, hey, that's the individual I saw leaving that almost hit
I
me?
did immediately. I said that to my son the first time I saw his picture.
Did you call the police and say that?
No, I did not.
But today's the first time that you are able to identify.
I was never asked before.
I have nothing else, Judge.
I have no other questions, Your Honor. Thanks.
Is witness face used?
I have no objection.
Mr. Sewers?
No objection.
Thank you, sir. Call your next witness.
Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, next witness is Trooper Cody Donay.
You solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very good. If you would have a seat, please, and state and spell your name for the record.
I was just looking for the exhibit. You got it. I just wanted to make sure we weren't leaving it with the next witness.
Cody Donay. First is Cody, C-O-D-Y. Last is Donay, D-O-N-N-A-Y.
Your witness, Mrs. Williams.
Sir, what do you do?
I'm a state trooper with Michigan State Police.
How long you been doing that?
Just over a year.
Where are you currently posted?
Paw Paw Post.
How long have you been posted there?
Posted there in July of last year.
Were you working there in that capacity in February of this year?
I was.
Specifically, were you working on February 20th?
Yes, sir.
What were your duties on that day?
I was assigned to Kalamazoo County General Patrol.
Did you get a call out to the Cracker Barrel restaurant in Kalamazoo?
Yes, sir.
What time did you get that call?
Approximately 22:24 that evening.
So we're talking
10:30. Yes, sir.
What was the nature of the call?
It was a report of shots fired with multiple victims.
You familiar with the Cracker Barrel area?
Yes, sir.
Is that in the county of Kalamazoo, state of Michigan?
It is.
What did you see when you first pulled in?
When I arrived on scene, I observed there was no other law enforcement on scene yet. I was the first unit. I saw two white males waving their arms, attempting to flag me down.
Did you later identify who those white males were?
Yes, sir.
Who was that?
I don't recall their names, but they were both listed as witnesses.
Okay.
And they flagged me down, and they pointed to two parked vehicles, which were just in front of my patrol car as I stopped it. And they said, it happened here, we didn't touch anything, and that's the last I made contact with them.
How would you describe the two vehicles that you saw?
I saw a minivan, a tan-colored minivan, and a red sedan. parked next to each other, both facing north.
So, what portion of the parking lot were they in?
They would have been on the northwest corner of the building.
Okay, which way were the cars facing?
The cars were facing north towards the freeway.
And you said both in the same direction, right?
Yes, sir.
How close were they parked in relation to one another?
They were parked in next parking lot, right next to each other, in spots.
Next parking spot?
Yes,
Okay,
right next to each other.
What's the first thing you did? You said you talked to the witnesses. Did you approach the vehicles after that?
I did. I got on my patrol car. Dispatch had relayed that the suspect had fled the scene, so I assumed the scene was secured. Got on my patrol car, walked up to the red sedan, which was parked on the right of the minivan.
Just so we're clear on this, as you would be, as the cars were facing to the right, or as you approached them?
I was parked behind the vehicles,
Okay.
towards the rear of the vehicle. So as I approached, I was walking up towards the rear. I was parked slightly to the left of the tan minivan.
And so as you approached from the rear, the sedan was on the right,
Yes,
the van
sir.
was on the left. Thank you.
And I approached the rear driver's side of the red car, opened the door, verbally asked if the victims were okay. Originally did not hear anything. I checked the pulse on the victim in the rear driver's side seat. I did not feel a pulse. That victim was slumped over on the rear right passenger. At that point, I heard a mumbling and some inaudible voices from the back right. So at that time, I walked around the rear of the car, opened the back right door, and observed Barbara Hawthorne. She was speaking, and she still had a cell phone in her hand. I believe she was still connected to dispatch, actually, because she did call 911. And she was still talking and alert at that time.
Did you provide first aid to her?
I did. She had multiple gunshot wounds. She told me she thought she was shot in the arm, in the back, and the chest. I held pressure on a chest wound and continued to speak with her to attempt to gain information regarding the suspect, but she was not able to offer any.
Did emergency services eventually take her from the scene?
They did.
And were you with her until they did that?
Yes, sir. I held pressure on the chest wound until medics attempted to get her out of the car.
Did you have any contact with any of the other folks that were in that vehicle?
No physical contact other than the rear two passengers.
Were you able to later identify the other rear seat passenger?
Yes, sir. They were all identified later on.
Okay. And we've stipulated to identification, but just so the record's clear, the rear driver's seat passenger was Dorothy Brown. Is that correct?
Rear passenger.
I'm sorry, rear driver's seat was
Dorothy Brown was rear passenger side.
Okay. So you're saying that Barbara Hawthorne was on the rear driver's side?
Or I'm sorry, Barbara Hawthorne was rear passenger side.
Okay.
Yes, sir. She was the one that I performed first aid on.
Okay, thank you. And then, so Dorothy Brown was on the rear seat behind the driver, correct?
I believe so.
Okay. Did you ever have any contact with anyone in the van?
No physical contact. I did observe one subject in the driver's seat of the van.
Did you see any other evidence around the scene that you thought might be pertinent to what had happened there?
Yes, sir. Myself and Kalamazoo Public Safety Officer Scott Brooks, we marked shell casings that we observed on the floor.
Okay. Did you touch them or just point them out?
No, sir. We just put evidence markers near them. We found 11 in total at that time.
And you didn't touch them, you didn't package them, you left that to folks
Correct.
down the
We
road,
just marked
correct?
them.
What did you do? I assume other law enforcement arrived on the scene after you arrived?
Yes, sir.
What did you do after you concluded your first aid duties?
Once the medics took over for me, we then made sure the scene was secure. Some officers taped it off, and myself and another trooper, we performed scene security, and we took down names of everyone that entered inside the perimeter, and those are noted in my report the times they arrived. And I stayed on scene for a little bit longer until more shots fired, calls were called out, and then I left to go back on patrol.
Why do you secure a scene? Why do you tape it off and keep track of who's coming and going?
We make sure that we know who entered the scene for evidentiary purposes, and then we noted who was there originally, and then who entered after it was marked off once the perimeter was made.
Your Honor, I have no further questions for the trooper.
Mr. Solis.
Trooper Dunay, the individuals that you saw flagging, they were males?
Yes, sir.
One older than the other?
Yes, sir.
They appeared. Do you know if they were a father and son?
I believe I was told that they were father and son. Yes, sir.
Did you have any communication with them other than them flagging you?
Other than what I told the lawyer here, no. Just the initial, they told me that that's the car, and that was it. So I did not interview them personally on scene of that.
Did the older individual, did he volunteer to you that he could identify the person?
Not to me directly, no.
Do you know if he was interviewed by someone?
Yes, he was interviewed by a different law enforcement officer, which is not me.
Oh, thank you. I have nothing else.
I don't have anything now.
Okay, may this one be excused.
No objection.
No objections.
Thank you.
We call Public Safety Officer Scott Brooks.
You solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very good. Please have a seat, state your name, and spell it for the record.
Officer Scott Brooks, SCOTTBROOKS.
Getting your witness.
Officer Brooks, how are you currently employed?
The City of Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety.
What is your responsibilities there?
I'm a Operations Division K-9 handler.
How long have you been a police officer?
Over 12 years, sir.
How long have you been a canine handler?
Almost 5, sir.
On February 20th of 2016, were you working as a police officer?
Yes, sir.
Did you respond to the scene at the Cracker Barrel?
Yes, sir.
That's outside of the city of Kalamazoo, but it's within the county of Kalamazoo, state of Michigan?
Yes, sir.
Is it unusual for somebody from the city, the public safety, Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety, to respond to a crime scene outside of the city?
No, sir. Especially not for a K-9 handler.
So, what time did you get called out there?
I was originally dispatched out to the Sealy location around 10 o'clock, sir. And then I left from there and went to Cracker Barrel.
Because there's multiple crime scenes happening suddenly close in time to each other.
Yes, sir.
So you had initially gone to Sealy and then went to Cracker Barrel.
Yes, sir.
Describe for me what is happening at Cracker Barrel when you arrive there.
Upon my arrival, Trooper Dene was talking to a witness and motioning towards 2 cars that were in the parking lot. I pulled in my patrol car and then went to try to assess the victims in the cars.
When you pulled your patrol car in, did you stop in front of or behind these 2 subject vehicles?
My car was parked on an angle, looking at both of the vehicles. It was the dash cam that was released.
All right. And so you get out, you go up to both of the cars.
Yes, sir.
Which one did you go up to first, the sedan or the van?
The sedan, sir.
What did you see?
My whole intentions initially were to do any sort of life-saving procedures that need to be done. Trooper Dene said that there were victims of a shooting. We'd originally got sent 4 shots fired there. So my initial actions at the scene were to try to make sure that if there were any victims that were still alive, to do some sort of life-saving procedures. I went to the sedan first, and the rear seat driver's side, assessed her first, realized that she was gone. Then went to the front, the driver's side, or driver's seat, realized that she as well was gone. It was at that point that I observed the vehicle on my left, which was the van, and that there was a occupant of that vehicle as well. Went over and realized that that person also was gone.
The person in the van, where in the van were they at?
Driver's seat, sir.
Subsequently, were any of these people identified to you, the deceased?
Later, sir, yes.
Who was the deceased in the van?
I believe her name was Brown. Her last name was Brown.
All right. So you see 2 in the sedan, and then your attention is drawn to the driver in the van.
Yes, sir.
You assess each one of them individually, and you realize that they're deceased.
Yes, sir.
And then what?
Then myself and Officer Nielsen went over and removed Abigail Kopp from the front passenger seat of the car and performed life-saving procedures on her.
You had looked in the car
Yes, sir.
and you saw the driver and the rear passenger.
Yes, sir.
You had assessed them and they were both already dead.
Yes, sir.
You didn't see Abigail
No, sir.
the first time you went to the car.
No, sir.
Where was she?
I guess the best I could describe it, she was slouched in the floorboard of the passenger seat as though she was hiding.
Describe her injuries.
Initial assessment, she had a single entrance bullet wound on the left side of her head, up near her hairline. It looked like, from what I could tell, initially on an angle. And we observed a large amount of blood and other fluids around. So we assessed by trying to protect her as best we could.
Other fluids? You mean from her head?
Brain matter, sir.
She had been shot
Yes,
in
sir.
the head.
Yes, sir.
Was she conscious?
No, well, in and out, sir.
What did you do when you say you provided her with first aid? What did you do for her?
Well, initially what we did was we tried to stop the bleeding, at which point we tried to wrap her head and protect any other foreign debris from getting inside the open wounds that she had.
She had obvious open wounds to her head.
Yes, sir.
Were you able to identify the other persons in the sedan besides Abigail Koff?
Later I was, sir.
What were their names?
Their last names were both Nye. I believe that both names were Mary as well. Trooper Dene was talking with the rear seat passenger victim as well as we were trying to assess the rest.
The rear seat passenger victim was alive at the scene,
Yes, sir.
subsequently died.
Yes, sir.
That sedan, it was a Chevy Cruze, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And Barbara Hawthorne, she was the person who was alive. And
Maybe we should allow the officer to testify versus the prosecutor telling them what was found and the officer just confirming it. I mean, I've given some leeway here, but I think we reached the point where I think we need to object.
Care to rephrase your question?
Can you just simply tell us the names of the people that were dead and or injured from the scene at the Cracker Barrel?
The driver of the van was identified to me, last name of Brown. The driver's seat, front driver's seat and rear driver's seat were both identified to me as last name of Nye. Abigail was in the front passenger seat, and I do not know the lady, I do not remember the lady in the rear passenger seat.
Okay, that's fine. You indicated that you were a canine handler.
Yes, sir.
When you were at the Cracker Barrel, did you do anything with regard to that expertise?
No, sir. One of my other duties at the Department of Public Safety is a relief crime lab technician. So initially, after we were starting to secure all the victims, I then noticed that there were several shell casings, and I put markers out so that the shell casings could be identified and not moved about.
At the crime scene that you initially responded to at Sealy, were you involved in using your skills as a canine handler?
Yes, sir.
What did you do there?
My canine Bodie and I attempted a track from the area that the witness last saw the suspect and an attempt to see if he had fled on foot from the area. The witness described the subject running towards the west-northwest of where she was at and the vehicles were at, and we attempted a track from there.
Were you able to do a track that took you anywhere or took you from that scene?
It did not lead away from the scene, sir. We tracked. We had a fairly strong track, but it only went approximately a couple hundred feet and then the track wasn't as strong. We then continued to check all the way around the Kia building just to make sure that there wasn't odor that was away from there, that somebody had actually fled on foot. We later found out that the subject had went where we had tracked, but then got into a vehicle.
And so, all right, you leave Sealy, you go to Cracker Barrel, you provide life-saving assistance to the victims at Cracker Barrel. Did you observe anything of evidentiary value there at the scene other than, or other items of evidentiary value?
At Cracker Barrel, sir?
Yeah.
That I remember is the casings. I made sure that the casings were marked just because there was people moving around. I didn't want them to kick the casings or accidentally step on them or anything else like that.
From the Cracker Barrel, did you participate in this investigation at any other scenes?
Yes, sir.
Where at?
I assisted Deputy Sergeant Jim Harrison with the arrest of the subject on East Ransom Street.
How did that happen?
We had a description of the suspect vehicle from the video surveillance of the Sealy's and witness description from Cracker Barrel. So,
what kind of vehicle were you looking for?
Dark colored Chevy HHR.
Go ahead.
I stopped with one of my sergeants. We stopped another black Chevy HHR that was not the suspect. Deputy Harrison stated that he was behind one as well that had just left the Wild Bull, and myself and Sergeant Miller assisted in the traffic stop on East Ransom Street.
When you say Deputy Harrison said this is coming to you over the radio?
Yes, sir.
Where were you at when you heard Deputy Harrison over the radio saying that he was behind a dark-colored HHR?
I believe I was on Gull Road, sir.
And so, what did you do to respond to Sergeant Harrison's call from the radio?
I came in Gull Road, circled down to Kalamazoo, and then took Porter or Pitcher, one or the other, back north to Ransom Street, where Deputy Harrison had stopped the vehicle.
When you got there, had the vehicle already been stopped?
Yes, sir.
Had Deputy Harrison had contact with the driver yet?
Verbal contact, yes, sir. Verbal contact with the driver. He was giving announcements to the driver. As I was walking up, he and Sergeant Miller were
What did you hear him yelling?
Show me your hands.
All right. What did the driver do?
He stuck both hands out the driver's window.
You're coming up from where?
From behind him, sir. Going to the east. The vehicle was facing east on East Ransom. I'm going to say just before Walbridge. Deputy Harrison was behind him in one lane of traffic. Sergeant Miller was out to the side. And as they approached, I pulled up in between the two and approached with them to the vehicle.
Who else is approaching towards the vehicle?
Sergeant Miller.
And Deputy Harrison?
Deputy Harrison, yes, sir.
As you're approaching the vehicle, describe how you approach the vehicle in this situation.
Deputy Harrison and Sergeant Miller approached towards the driver's side to make contact with the driver. I approached to the passenger side to provide cover in case something happened.
What does that mean, to provide cover?
In case the subject inside the car decided to shoot or do something else or flee or anything else like that, I could provide cover for them.
Are you prepared for that to happen?
It's always a possibility, sir.
In this particular stop, what did you do in order to prepare for that?
We had our cars parked what we consider to be tactically, due to the fact that we could stop traffic, no other traffic could come up. Sergeant Miller approached from an angle so that if the subject tried to get out and either take shots or whatever, Sergeant Harrison, who was approaching him, that he would be on an angle and he'd be able to return fire without being seen.
Were you ready to return fire?
Objection. What's the relevance of this, Jeff?
I'll move on. That's okay. So did you make contact with the driver of the HHR?
I did not, sir.
Deputy Harrison did?
Yes, sir.
And you were on the passenger side of the vehicle?
Yes, sir.
The person that was taken into custody by Deputy Harrison, would you recognize him if you saw him again?
Yes, sir.
Is that person in the courtroom?
Not physically, sir, no.
Can you see him?
Yes, sir.
Can you describe how you can see him and what he's wearing?
It's Mr. Dalton. He's in the orange jumpsuit on the television screen.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the identification of the defendant?
So noted.
Did you search the dark-colored the vehicle. Can you describe the vehicle that Mr. Dalton was stopped in?
Dark Chevy HHR.
Did you participate in a search of that vehicle?
We did not do an interior search, no, sir.
Were you there, or did you see anything of any evidentiary value being found, either in the vehicle or on Mr. Dalton?
Yes, sir.
What did you see?
A loaded Walther handgun was taken off of Mr. Dalton's person by Sergeant Harrison.
Did you take pictures of that?
I did, sir.
What did Deputy Harrison do with the gun?
He placed it on the roof of the car, sir.
Did you find anything else of any evidentiary value from the HHR?
I did not, sir.
Was there a phone found?
There was, sir.
By whom?
I do not remember who found that phone, sir.
Did you participate in placing that phone into evidence?
I did not. I turned it over. Detective Pittelkow arrived to the scene and he took custody of the phone.
Do you know where the phone was found?
I do not, sir.
I don't have any other questions at this time, Your Honor.
I have a question, John.
May this witness be excused.
May.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I have no objection, Your Honor.
Your Honor, the next witness will be Trooper Paul Planger.
You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
Good. Please have a seat here. State your name and spell it for the record.
Paul Planger, Paulplanger.
Who is your witness?
Sir, where do you work?
The Michigan State Police
Where are you posted?
at the Pawpaw Post.
How long have you been there?
Been there 18 years.
How long have you been a police officer in total?
18 years.
What is your role as a trooper with Michigan State Police?
Invest criminal complaints and process crime scenes, amongst other duties.
Do you have any special training in processing crime scenes?
Yes, I'm crime scene tech.
What do you have to go through to become a crime scene tech?
A week's long training.
Is that something put on by the Michigan State Police?
Yes, sir.
Were you working in that capacity on February 20th of this year?
Yes, sir.
Did you get a call to respond to the Cracker Barrel in Kalamazoo?
Yes, sir, I did.
What was the nature of the call when you received it?
The nature of the call was that there was a homicide scene at the Cracker Barrel that they needed someone to assist at processing the scene with Lieutenant Crump.
What was happening when you arrived at the scene?
When I arrived at the scene, it was all roped off, and they had pretty much cleared out the whole area.
So you were one of the later officers to get there?
Correct. Yeah.
Were there fired bullet casings on the scene that you were directed to?
Yes, sir.
What did you do with those?
I collected those and packaged those up and gave those to Detective Sergeant Peterson.
And where did you find the casings?
9 of the 9mm casings were found on the west side of the tan van.
So would that be between the van and the sedan?
What's that?
Between the van and the sedan, would that be the west side?
No, the west side.
The other side. The
tan van was west.
Was
and
to
then
the west.
To the west, and the red car was to the east. And they were parked in the northern west part of the parking lot of the Cracker Barrel. And
before we move on about those first, you said that you found 9 on the driver's side of the minivan, correct?
Correct, the back side of the.
And did you Did you package those and label them as evidence?
I did, sir.
Were they submitted to Jeff Crump for his evaluation?
Yes, sir.
And would those be items 1 through 9?
Correct.
Labels 1 through 9? I'm sorry I interrupted you. What'd you find next?
Then I found another casing underneath the back of the tan van. Packaged that up and also sent that to Lieutenant Crump.
And was that would that be item number 10?
I believe so, yeah. And then found another casing underneath the red passenger car by the driver's side and packaged that up and sent that to the lab also, Lieutenant Crump. And then also I found a casing to the northeast of the red car that was packaged up and sent to the lab also.
And then again, we talked about this before with Officer Crump's report. Those are labeled as items 11 and 12, respectively.
Correct.
Did you process any of the vehicles in this case?
No, I was advised that the lab was going to take care of processing the vehicles, so I left them to the lab.
Were you able to locate any casings inside any of the vehicles?
Did not go in the vehicles at all.
No further questions, Your Honor.
May this witness be excused.
Thank you, sir.
Any objection to this witness being excused?
No objection.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We call your next witness.
Whatever. Jim's here. Jim Harrison? There you go.
You solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please have a seat here, state your name and spell it for the record.
James Harrison, James, last name Harrison.
Mr. Devin, your witness.
Deputy Harrison.
Noon shift.
How long have you been a supervisor?
For going on 2.5 years now.
Prior to being a supervisor, what was your assignment?
Prior to that, I was assigned to the Kalamazoo Valley Enforcement Team for 2.5 years, and prior to that, to the Patrol Division for 10 years.
Were you working on February 20th, the early morning hours of February 21st of 2016?
Yes, I was.
What was happening that day?
During that time frame, I was assigned to the midnight shift as a shift supervisor. I had received a call sometime in the evening while I was still sleeping, indicating that they were trying to call officers in early to assist with an investigation in Richland Township of a shooting that had occurred. When I did awake, I did come in and report to duty with the 2 other officers that were assigned to the midnight shift. As we were clearing station, we were informed via radio that the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety was responding to another shooting at the Sealy Right located in the city of Kalamazoo.
With that going on, what are you doing? What's going through your mind?
At that time, we knew that the Richland scene was pretty much handled and being wrapped up. So we were originally going to clear and start assisting with calls that were holding, but as we were leaving station, when the Sealy Right incident had unfolded, we were informed of another shooting that had just occurred at the Cracker Barrel in Texas Township. So at that time, most of the available units were responding to that area to help out.
Did that include you?
Yes, it was.
So where did you go?
At that time, I responded straight to the Cracker Barrel. I was probably the 5th or 6th patrol unit that pulled up there. At that time, the ambulance and rescue personnel were already on scene and had transported a couple of the victims from the scene, and the scene was being secured with the state police as well as us and Kalamazoo Public Safety.
Were you provided with information regarding the suspect vehicle?
Yes, as I was clearing the scene, I had made contact with some of our command staff that had arrived. Obviously, the scene was well secured, and MSP was taking over. At that time, it was learned that there was a possible suspect vehicle that was provided as the same description from the incident at the Sealy Right and the incident at Cracker Barrel.
What was that vehicle that you were looking for?
It was described as a dark-colored Chevy HHR product.
And that was the same description from both the Celia and the Cracker Barrel incidents?
For those two incidents, it was, yes.
So what happens next?
At that time, several of the officers, once they were freed up, we began to start patrolling different areas, specifically on the west side of the county of Kalamazoo. At that time, it was determined that a couple of us would return back over towards the east side of Kalamazoo County to effectively do some proactive patrolling and attempt to locate the suspect vehicle.
Were there other calls that were coming in?
Yes, soon thereafter, we started receiving several calls of suspicious vehicles matching that description, as well as some other calls of shots fired in the Texas Township area that officers were responding to.
Where did you go?
At that time, I was on the east side when the call came in for the Texas Township suspicious vehicle, followed by another shots fired call during, I think it was on the southwest side of Texas Township, which it appeared that we had adequate units available on scene there. Knowing that the city's resources were also pointed in that direction, another call had come in through the city dispatch center indicating of an active shooter over in the campus area in the city of Kalamazoo. Knowing that their staffing levels were deployed elsewhere, I started responding back through the city to go assist with that call of the active shooter at, I think it was Lafayette Street, if I remember correctly. As I was coming through downtown, one of the township officers had arrived on scene and determined that it was a bogus call or a swatting incident, that there was no incident going on there.
You're hearing all of this communication over the radio?
Yes.
So now you've come from the east side, you're heading in that direction, you're trying to help the city out. Everybody's looking for this dark colored HHR, and you're downtown.
Yes, at that time I was just through the downtown area. I think city had already stopped a dark colored HHR and realized it was not involved. We had also made contact with a dark colored HHR over in the Asheville Township area and determined that it was not involved. And as I was turning around to head back towards the east side to come through downtown at the light at Main and Maple, I happened to look over my shoulder to the right as I was facing going eastbound and saw a dark colored HHR in the parking lot of the Up and Under bar.
What did you think?
At first, it was as I was stopped at the light, I just happened to look over and realized there was a significant amount of patrons exiting the establishment. So as I was paying attention to them, I did see the glimpse of a vehicle traveling through the parking lot, which was dark. Upon looking at it more in depth, I realized that it was a dark colored HHR. The driver's side window was down, and I could see that it was a rather stocky individual, being a white male with blackish gray hair, that was operating the vehicle.
What did you do next?
At the time, the vehicle proceeded through the lot and came to a stop to pull out onto Michigan Avenue. The light changed for me and the vehicle did not proceed, so I proceeded through the intersection, pulling over to the north and slowing down to wait for the vehicle to pull out so I could get behind it. Once the vehicle did enter the roadway, I was able to get behind the vehicle and notify the dispatch center of the description of the vehicle and also request them to run the license plate to see who the registered owner was, and proceeded to follow the vehicle for a while until I could get some more units to effect a traffic stop on the car.
Why?
Based on the concerns of the information that had been presented on the shootings that had occurred and the suspect vehicle description and the description of the suspect, it was a close proximity to a match. So my gut instinct told me to just be safe, to get several other units before we tried to stop the car in case it was involved.
So did you keep following the car then?
I did. The vehicle proceeded down Michigan Avenue, then changed lanes without using a turn signal, and proceeded southbound on another side street, stopping in front of the Wild Bull Bar in the downtown of Kalamazoo, where the vehicle stopped in the middle of the roadway for approximately 7 to 10 seconds before proceeding and then turning and going northbound on Porter Street.
Did you ever, after you first saw the vehicle at the Up and Under, did you ever lose sight of the vehicle?
No, I did not.
And you continued to follow it?
Yes, I continued following it as we went through several traffic lights, and then the vehicle proceeded to turn eastbound onto Ransom Street, at which time I then could observe one city patrol car being Sergeant Miller coming up the intersection, and I believe PSO Brooks was coming up behind me.
So
at that time,
now you've got your backup?
Yep, so now we had sufficient units, I felt, so I activated my overhead lights to conduct a traffic stop.
And then what happened?
After calling out the traffic stop, I did make contact with Sergeant Miller. It was advised that we would do kind of a modified high-risk stop. I did order the driver of the vehicle to place his arms out the window. Upon giving the second or third verbal command to do that, the subject did agree or did comply and place his hands out the window, at which time Sergeant Miller and myself decided that the best way to approach it, instead of ordering the subject out of the car because we could see his hands, was to approach the vehicle and make contact with him.
The driver didn't initially respond to you telling him to put his hands out the window?
Correct, he did not. However, due to the distance and the fact that I did not have my microphone that I was using, it was hard to tell if it was failed to comply or if it was just the fact they could not hear my voice.
You're yelling, you don't know if he's hearing.
Correct.
But then he sticks his hands out the window.
Yes.
And then what?
With Sergeant Miller and PSO Brooks providing cover to me, we did approach a vehicle. Once I reached the driver's side pillar, I did holster my sidearm and asked the subject to step out of the vehicle, grabbing the door handle and opening the door to escort the person out of the car.
And did he come out of the car as you were escorting him out of the car?
Yes, he did.
The two officers from the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety, they're providing you with cover.
Yes.
While you're making contact with the driver?
Jack, what's the relevance of all this again, Judge? He's been arrested, he's been pulled out of the car. Who cares if they're providing cover?
Well, I think it's just clearly relevant to the scene, Your Honor, but
I'll allow it, but let's make sure that this ties to what's at issue here.
Were you concerned for your safety?
Yes, I was.
Why?
What's the relevance?
I'll give Mr. Getty a chance to respond. Is that pertinent to what we're doing? What's issue?
I think it's pertinent to what he's going to do next, Your Honor.
Well, I'll allow a little leeway, but let's keep in mind the purpose of a preliminary examination of what we're doing. So
Did you take the defendant into custody?
I did detain the suspect, yes.
As you were taking, or as you take him into custody, as you detain him, do you search him?
Yes.
How do you search him?
I did a pat down on his right side of his body for any type of weapons or contraband.
Was the right side the first side that you went to?
Yes, it was.
Why?
Most people are predominantly right-handed.
What did you find?
I found a loaded pistol in his right pocket.
May I approach, Your Honor?
you may.
The firearm that you found, do you know what kind it was?
Yes.
What?
It was a Walter.
A Walter, do you know what caliber?
9mm.
Let me show you what's been previously marked as People's Exhibit 10 for purposes of identification. You recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Is that the 9mm Walter that you found on the defendant's person when you arrested him?
It does appear to be the same one, yes.
Your Honor, I would ask that Exhibit 10 be admitted.
Mr. Solis, any objection, or do you care to voir dire?
I have no objection, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. People's Exhibit number 10 is admitted.
This 9mm Walter, is this a pistol? Is it a semi-automatic?
It's a semi-automatic pistol.
This type of firearm that would eject shell casings as it was being shot?
Yes, it would.
What did you do with it after you took it from the defendant's right pocket?
Placed it on the roof of the vehicle.
Do you know whether or not the firearm was loaded?
It felt that it was loaded,
How would you know that?
based on the weight from the magazine.
The magazine or clip itself, was there anything unusual about it?
It did appear to be what they call the extended version because of the small grip that was affixed to the bottom of it.
Did the person who was driving the vehicle, would you recognize him if you saw him again?
Yes, I would.
Is that person in the courtroom?
Not physically in the courtroom, but yes.
Can you see that person?
Yes, I can.
Can you describe for him what he's wearing and how it is you're able to see that person?
The subject, identified as Mr. Dalton, is seated at the Kalamazoo County Jail He is currently wearing an orange jumpsuit.
Thank
Two
you, Your Honor.
deputies
May the
surrounding.
record reflect the identification of the defendant.
So noted.
Did you participate in a search of the defendant's home on Douglas Avenue?
Yes, I did.
What did you do there?
After Mr. Dalton was transferred over to Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety, it was determined we would go check and secure his home residence. Upon arrival, nobody would answer the door. At that time, I did assist with other units securing the perimeter for the application of a search warrant. Once the search warrant was obtained, I did conduct an entry into the residence. After doing a protective sweep, it was turned over to the lab technicians from Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety.
The Walter handgun that you seized from the defendant, was it subsequently placed in evidence
I do believe so.
and submitted to the Michigan State Police for purposes of testing?
I'm not sure who handled the processing of it.
The car that the defendant was driving, this it was a dark-colored HHR, right?
Yes, it was a black-colored HHR.
Do you know who that vehicle was registered to?
Not off the top of my head. I know it came back out of the Comstock area on Durango Street.
I have no other questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Solis?
No questions, Officer Harris.
May this witness be excused, Mr. Getty.
I have no objection to being.
Solis?
I have no objection, Your Honor.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. You want this up here, Your Honor?
Your Honor, if the court's interested, this might not be a bad time to take a short break.
10-minute recess?
That's certainly.
Been here for, going on almost not quite over 2 hours, so we'll take a 10-minute recess and then we'll begin proceedings. Stand in recess. go back on the record, and the people prepare to call their next witness.
Your Honor, the people are ready. If it pleases the court, I will call Officer Marcel Bainan to the stand. Marcel.
Right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very good. Please have a seat. State your name and spell it for the record.
Officer Marcel Bainan, M-A-R-C-E-L B-E-H-N-E-N.
All right, Mr. Williams, your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer, what do you do?
I'm a public safety officer for the city of Kalamazoo.
How long have you been doing that?
8 years.
What do you do in your general course of duties? What's your assignment?
Routine street patrol.
Okay. Were you working in that capacity on February 20th of this year?
I was.
Did you respond to the Sealy Motors area on that day?
I did.
At what point did you respond to Sealy?
Right as the dispatch went out that there was a possible shooting.
Okay. I should ask you, is that in the city and county of Kalamazoo?
It is.
What did you do when you first got there?
Upon my arrival, I observed 2 victims laying on the ground by the Sealy Kia sign. And I was then instructed with another officer to check the buildings to make sure they were secured, the 2 dealerships, as well as check the parking lot for possible additional victims.
Did you find anything?
No, the buildings were secure and there were no more victims.
At some point, did you get in touch with the folks who run the dealership there?
Yeah, I did.
Were you able to learn about a video, surveillance videos that they had?
Yes, I believe it was the IT manager for the Sealy Auto Group. He showed up and we went to his office where they had the surveillance video.
Did you watch the video?
I did.
What'd you see?
I observed the victim's vehicle, the Land Rover, arrive in the parking lot of the Sealy Kia. 2 white males exit the vehicle. They go to look at a blue Ford pickup truck. At some point, another dark-colored Chevy HHR pulls into the parking lot, drives past them, goes out of camera view. A short while later, it comes into camera view again and parks directly in front of the Kia dealership. And then a white male exits the vehicle, walks over to the victims, and eventually stands in front of the Land Rover and appears to shoot them.
Did he then return to the HHR eventually?
He initially went to another vehicle that was offered for sale in the dealership, and then he kind of shuffled, power walked his way back to his vehicle.
What how would you describe the shooter based on just what you saw in the video?
I would say he's a little shorter, stockier white male. He had grayish-black hair. He was wearing dark clothing. It looked like he was wearing a jacket, and then I could see what appears to be like a yellow T-shirt around his collar line.
Okay. Your Honor, can I approach?
Man.
Officer, I'm going to hand you what I've marked as People's Exhibit number 11. You recognize that?
I do.
What is that?
This is a still frame shot from the surveillance video of the Sealy Kia.
And is that an accurate depiction of one of the images you saw in that video?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask to admit People's Exhibit number 11.
People's Exhibit number 11 is admitted.
And what does that depict specifically for the record?
This shows the suspect's Chevy HHR parked in front of the dealership, and I don't know if he's getting in the car or just got out of the car.
So it shows the subject and the vehicle that you observed on the video.
It does.
Let's move ahead a little bit now in the evening. Did you learn at some point in the evening that there had been a suspect detained in the shootings?
I did. I had responded to our detective division to bring them a copy of the surveillance video. At that time, I heard radio traffic that they were behind a possible suspect vehicle. I made my way over there, not any sort of urgency yet. They advised that they had retrieved a firearm from the subject, and believing I could identify the subject from the surveillance video, I responded to the traffic stop.
When you got there, what was the scene of the traffic stop like?
There was the dark-colored black Chevy HHR, matched the vehicle that I saw in the video with the black color, the gray or chrome mirrors, and the chrome grille. The vehicle was facing, I would say, eastbound. Several police cars behind it.
And where was there a suspect on the scene?
Yes, I believe he was in the rear of Sergeant Harrison's police cruiser.
Did you get a look at the suspect, the person that they detained?
I did. I opened the cruiser door and observed the suspect.
How did the person that you saw in the back of Sergeant Harrison's cruiser compare to the person that you saw in the video?
It was pretty much a match. He was wearing dark colored pants. He was wearing a dark colored jacket. I could see the yellow T-shirt that I'd seen in the video. He had the grayish black hair, and he was of a stockier build.
Did you do you see the person that was in the back of Sergeant Harrison's car in the courtroom here today?
Not physically in the courtroom. But
Do you see their image here in the courtroom?
I do.
Where are they and what are they wearing?
He's on the TV screen right here. He's wearing a orange jail jumper.
And did you eventually learn that person's name?
Yes.
Who is that?
Mr. Dalton.
Your Honor, asked identification to be reflected in the record. Did you have any, other than just observing him, did you have any one-on-one contact with Mr. Dalton?
Yes, I eventually took custody of him from Deputy Harrison to transport him to our headquarters for an interview.
You mentioned what he was wearing that was visible to you.
Mm-hmm.
When you took him into custody, did you notice anything else that he was wearing that maybe wasn't immediately visible?
Yes, as I was patting him down to put him in the patrol vehicle, initially I felt what appeared to be a bullet in his front left pocket. Then I also patted him down. I felt clothing of a denser nature in his upper body. I then opened his jacket, lifted up his sweater that he was wearing, and I observed what appeared to be a bulletproof vest.
And you're familiar with bulletproof vests from your work as a police officer?
Yes.
Sorry, you said you wear one every shift. I
Yes.
spoke over you. Okay. What'd you do with the bullet that you found?
I took custody of the bullet, and eventually I turned it over to Lab Tech Nelden in the detective division.
Were you able to tell from examination what kind of bullet it was?
I believe it was a 9mm bullet.
And where exactly was that on him?
In his front left pocket.
I have nothing more, Your Honor.
Mr. Solis. See that photograph?
So you're identifying this individual as the person that you saw being arrested? Or from this photograph?
The male I observed in the video matched the male that was in the backseat of the patrol vehicle.
Is this the best photograph that's on the video?
I would say the video is a much better quality than that still frame photograph.
Okay. So you can see the facial features in the video?
You can see the grayish black hair, but I couldn't make out facial hair. But I could tell it was a white male.
Okay. So you're identifying him from the video that you can't make out the facial features?
I'm saying the video has a better quality than that still frame photo, but
So are you identifying him from the video?
his physical build and the clothing.
Okay. But not his facial features?
I can't see his exact face.
Okay. So when you identify him, you're simply saying that this individual that's at the Sealy's is dressed similarly, shaped similarly as the person that was being stopped?
I would say it appeared to be the same individual.
Okay. Based on his clothing, height, and all that, not on his facial features?
Well, I can't tell eye color,
Okay.
stuff like that, or his exact facial hair, but
In fact, you can't tell much of his face other than perhaps facial hair. Is that right?
his hair color, the shape of his face.
Mr. Williams?
Nothing additional.
May this witness be excused.
No objection.
No objection.
Thank you.
Your Honor, our next witness is Detective Lieutenant Jeff Crump.
Those are both been admitted already.
You solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please have a seat, state your name and spell it for the record.
Jeff Crump, C-R-U-M-P.
Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, before I begin, I mentioned at the very start of our testimony, much earlier this morning, that we had a stipulation to Jeff Crump's qualifications as an expert in the field of firearms identification. So if the court could qualify him, I would appreciate it.
Okay, yeah, that's not, that was stipulated too, and he's admitted as such.
What do you do, sir?
I'm a firearms examiner for the Michigan State Police.
How long have you been doing that?
18 years.
What kind of special training do you have?
I have a master's degree from Michigan State University. That's in criminal justice with an emphasis in forensic science. The training program for a firearms examiner is much like an apprenticeship. It's a 2-year training program where you work directly underneath an experienced examiner within that 2 years. It's a lot of hands-on casework type training. At the end of the 2 years, you're given competency tests. If you pass those, then you're allowed to work on your own independently. However, anytime we make any kind of identification, it's always seconded by another examiner.
Are you familiar with the case of the People versus Jason Dalton?
Yes.
Did you work on that case?
I did.
You worked in a couple different capacities, actually, correct?
Yes.
What'd you do?
The first part of what I did was respond to the crime scene at the Cracker Barrel restaurant. And then the following day, I processed the vehicles that were involved at the Cracker Barrel restaurant. And then additionally, I examined all the firearms-related evidence back at the lab after it was all recovered.
Did you take any evidence into your possession at the Cracker Barrel?
I did not personally, no.
You did other duties in processing this?
I mainly was photographing and taking notes at the Cracker Barrel.
So you're aware that there were shell casings found, you just didn't personally handle them?
Correct.
How about, what vehicles did you process?
Do you want specifically or just in general?
We'll start generally and then work it.
Okay. One was like a reddish color Chevy Cruze, and the other one was, I think, like a gold color, Olds Silhouette, I believe.
And let me ask you about the Chevy Cruze specifically. Did you find any shell casings in that vehicle?
The following day when we processed that vehicle, yes, we did find some fired cartridge cases in there.
Did you take those into evidence also?
I did.
I want to talk about your role for which you've been qualified as an expert in your firearms identification. Did you prepare a report in this matter?
I did.
We've been working with it informally. I think the judge might have it now. I believe it's People's Exhibit 12, Your Honor. Do you have that for a moment? You just show it to Mr. Crump long enough to identify. Is that a copy of your report?
Yes, one of them, record number 5, yes.
Is that something you keep in the regular course of your business?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I'd ask to have that formally admitted now.
Objection or what here? No objection. People's Exhibit number 12 is admitted.
Tell me just generally about your process for identifying a shell casing.
Well, for a shell casing, we're going to look for what we call individual characteristics, and those are characteristics that are left on the fired cartridge case when it's in the firearm. So when it's fired in the firearm and you have a lot of internal pressures going on because of the gases burning, and which creates pressure to cycle the firearm, and it creates pressure to push the bullet out the barrel. All those internal pressures expand the fired cartridge case within the chamber, and any imperfections that are on the surface, inside surface of the firearm, then are getting transferred over to the surface of the fired cartridge case. And we look for individual characteristics that make it unique to that individual firearm to allow us to say, yes, it was fired in that firearm.
Were you given a Glock 9mm to evaluate in this case?
I was. That was one of them that I examined, yes.
Your Honor, can I approach the witness?
You may.
Sir, I'm going to hand you what we've already admitted as People's Exhibit number 8. Does that look like the Glock that you handled in this matter?
Well, very well could be. I can't see the serial number on this in the picture, but it's a 9mm. It's a Glock model 19, if I'm reading it right.
Well, let's get more specific. You did do some testing on a Glock, correct?
I did.
And where is that found in your report?
Let me see if I can find it.
Page 6, I believe, if that helps.
Yeah, page 6 of my report, item number 43A. 9mm Luger caliber Glock, model 19, serial number Sam Nora Zebra 001.
How did you go about trying to determine? Got a little bit ahead of myself there. Did you also get shell casings turned into you to evaluate as a part of this case?
Yeah, numerous shell casings. Yes, I did. Fired cartridge cases.
So let's start speaking about the Glock. How did you go about trying to determine whether any of the shell casings that you received were fired by the Glock that was also submitted?
Well, the way we do a comparison is obviously we have to get fired cartridge cases from the firearms themselves. So we call those test shots. So I will examine the firearm. When I'm finished examining it, I'll take it into the shoot room and I'll test fire it. I then use those test shots as comparisons to the evidence. So what I'm able to do is using my comparison microscope, which has two stages to it, I can put a test shot on one side and I can put a piece of evidence on the other side. When I look through the viewfinder, I see both samples at the same time, and when you magnify those samples, then you can see all those different individual characteristics that are on the surface of the test and the evidence.
Were you able to determine that any of the casings submitted to you were fired by that particular Glock 9mm?
Yes, I was.
Which ones did you determine were found? And as you know, the court has a copy of your report, so you can identify it using the report for ease of everyone's understanding.
So on page 7 of my report are part of my results. So items 15 through 15I and items 48A through 48E were identified as having been fired from that Glock firearm.
Do you know where those were collected from?
15 through 15I, based on the labels on the containers that were submitted to me, those were submitted by the Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Department, and I believe all of those were collected at the High Meadows, if I'm saying that right, apartment complex.
Okay. And how about the others? If you don't know, that's fine.
48A through 48E, again, based on the containers and the labeling of those containers, again, submitted by Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Department. And those were, I believe, collected from a Chevy Equinox.
Your Honor, do you have exhibit number 10 at the bench there?
I do.
Mm-hmm. You just pass it over to the witness. Again, sir, I'm going to ask you to take a look at what we previously admitted as People's Exhibit number 10. Is that or is that similar to the Walther firearm that was submitted to you for testing?
It is a Walther firearm. Again, I can't see the serial number, which is usually what I use to identify a firearm, but it appears to be the same.
Okay. And is the Walther reflected in your report also?
It is.
Where would we find that?
Page 3 of my report, container 18, item number 17, 9mm Luger caliber Walther, model P99, with the serial number of 016443.
And again, based on the information, if you know, do you know where that was taken from?
If I recall, that was recovered from the suspect.
And I take it you went through the same process you did with the Glock in trying to determine if any of the casings came from this firearm?
Correct. Basically, take test shots using that firearm, use my test shots, put those on the comparison microscope along with the unidentified fired cartridge cases, and again, see if we have matching individual characteristics.
Were you able to link any of the cartridges that were submitted to you, casing, excuse me, with the Walther?
I was.
And again, is that in the, again, back to page 7 of your report?
It is.
And which items were those?
The first paragraph of my results. So the following items were identified as having been fired from the Walther firearm, and those are items 1 through 12.
Do you know where those came from?
Those came from the parking lot of the Cracker Barrel. Items V1 through V5, and those I recovered from the Chevy Cruze.
And so those were something you actually, in your role processing the vehicle, you actually recovered those yourself?
Yes.
Okay. And you did also find that those matched the Walther?
Yes.
Sorry, I interrupted you, please.
That's fine. And then items 21 through 26, 28, 30, 31, and 33 through 39.
Those casings all matched the Walther?
Yes.
And do you know where those were taken from?
Again, from indications of the labeling on the packaging, those were recovered by Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety, and I believe from an address on Stadium Drive.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Mr. Solis?
No questions, sir.
Mr. Ruski?
I have no objection.
Mr. Solis?
Your Honor, People's Exhibits 11 was given back to me, so I'll return that. The other case to the court.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, the people would call Paul Gagnon.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Very good. Please have a name. Have a seat. State your name and spell it for the record.
Paul, last name Gagnon, Gonyeau.
Mr. Deputy.
Mr. Gagnon, how are you employed?
Michigan State Police Technical Services Unit,
What rank do you hold?
Detective Sergeant,
How long have you been with the Michigan State Police?
almost 19 years.
How long have you been a detective sergeant?
Little over a year now.
What do you do with the technical service unit?
We provide a variety of different services to state, county, and local law enforcement investigators as they handle criminal investigations.
What kind of services?
Anything from covert audio, video, cell record analysis, device placement, cell phone extractions, to name a few.
Let's talk about cell phones. What kind of things can you do with cell phones in the technical services unit?
I can extract data from them, analyze that data. In addition, develop and obtain service provider records and further analyze those records for communications or data contained within them that may be relevant to a given investigation.
And did you participate in an investigation of a cell phone that was part of the February 20, 2016 shooting incident here in Kalamazoo?
Yes, sir.
When did you when did you receive the phone? What did you do?
I believe it was the early morning hours of February 21st, 2016 at the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety. There was a post-incident briefing there with the investigators, and that's when I was brought up to speed as far as the investigation and the findings thus far, and provided a phone for Jason Dalton.
Who provided you the phone?
I believe it was Detective Sergeant Brian DeWeiss.
The phone itself, what kind of phone was it?
Apple iPhone S, 5S.
What did you do to examine the phone?
After obtaining a search warrant for the extraction of the contents, I then used specialized software, which I've been trained to operate, to extract the contents of that device in an effort to locate communications or data that may be relevant to the incidents that were being investigated.
As part of obtaining information from the phone itself, does the phone contain information that could be used to identify whose phone it was?
Yes, most phones do.
What kind of information was there in this phone?
A lot of user activity, pictures, videos, large number of those which would support or indicate who a device user or owner may be.
also email addresses that are associated, identifiers on the phone itself, unique identifiers, identifiers on the SIM card itself that correlate back to the service provider in this case, which is AT&T, who also provides additional information as far as who the device owner is.
In this phone that you examined that we're talking about, were you able to identify whose phone it was?
Yes, sir.
Whose phone was it?
Jason Dalton.
In addition to being able to identify whose phone it was, were you able to extract information that would help us identify where that phone was at a particular point in time?
From the phone extraction itself, no. Location data was obtained through different sets of service provider records from AT&T and Uber.
And so, with the assistance of other agencies, including AT&T and Uber and yourself, through the Michigan State Police Technical Services Unit, what type of information was able to be found with regard to the location, physical location of that phone at any particular point in time?
For the first shooting location over at Meadow Townhomes, I believe, AT&T records reflect communications relevant to that time period that put that device in that same general geographic area, utilizing a tower that, from memory, I believe was about...
I'm going to object, Judge, I guess at this point. It's hearsay.
It's not hearsay, Your Honor. He's participating in the investigation and is being provided information from multiple resources, but it's his investigation that's leading us to these particular points.
He's getting information off the document that he's testifying to. It's hearsay. He's getting the information off the document that he's using it for the truth of the matter, so it's hearsay.
You know, yeah, the document here isn't an issue. You're pulling that information. So I'll grant or sustain the motion at this time. If you've got some other way of establishing bringing that evidence in, we'll hear it. At this point, he's not able to testify about a report that he received from AT&T for the truth of what's being asserted the location. That's the gist of your objection?
Yes, it is, Judge.
Is that how you're able to locate the phone, is based off the information from AT&T?
Yes, sir.
All right. You indicated that there were, well, we have two other scenes at approximately 10:08, 10:10 p.m. At the Sealy Automotive Group, a 911 call was received. Based upon your investigation and information obtained from this phone in cooperation with, I don't know, with others perhaps, were you able to locate where this phone was at that time?
Same objection, Judge.
Not asking him where the phone was.
He hasn't testified how he. Yeah, I guess we have to wait and see what his answer is, and then you can objection.
Location data for that location and that time period was obtained from Uber records.
And so from Uber records, I'm not asking you where, but based upon information that was provided to you from Uber records, you know where the phone was.
Same objection, Judge.
Well, he's not asking him what the data is. He's just asking him. I don't know if it's going to be all that relevant, but it's not hearsay until he's saying what that evidence is from some third-party source. So he's just asking how he collects his evidence. What I'm hearing at this point.
Well, if his answer is it was at this location, that's based on the records that he received.
I don't know if that was his question. Or rephrase your question, or restate your question. Or repeat your question.
Without telling me where the phone was, can you, from your independent investigation into this phone, tell me where that phone was at 10:10 p.m.?
Yes.
How?
Utilizing records that were provided by Uber.
All right. But without utilizing the records that were provided by Uber, you're not able to do that.
There's no additional information that would indicate location data at that time.
And is that the same for the Cracker Barrel scene?
Yes, sir.
All right. So in order, just so we're clear, in order to talk about the location of the phone at 5:30 p.m., we need to have a representative from AT&T to tell us what they told you. With regard to the phone at the later locations, we need Uber's assistance because you can't do it based on your investigation into the phone. Is that right?
Generally with record certifications, those are things I will testify to.
I don't have any other questions at this time, Larry.
Mr. Solis, any questions?
Nothing.
Unless you want to speak.
No objection to
Any objection?
I have none, Your Honor. We have no further witnesses to call for purposes of preliminary examination at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Solis, any witnesses that the defense?
Not for purposes of exam.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. Tiana Carruthers identified the defendant as the person who shot her. Marcel Banya identified the defendant as the person in the video from the Sealy shootings. Mr. Solomon identified the defendant as the person fleeing the scene at the Cracker Barrel. All three of these witnesses' testimony established that it was, in fact, Jason Brian Dalton and not some other person. The shell casings from the scene at the Meadows apartment have been testified to by Specialist Crump as having been fired from the Glock semi-automatic handgun that was found in the defendant's home at the time of the search warrant. Specialist Crump has further testified that the shell casings from the Sealy crime scene were all fired by the Walter 9mm semi-automatic pistol found on the defendant at the time he was stopped. Specialist Crump has further testified that all of the shell casings found at the scene at the Cracker Barrel were fired by the 9mm Walter semi-automatic handgun that was found on the defendant at the time of the stop. Both the Sealy photographs as well as the Cracker Barrel photographs established that the person was driving a Chevrolet HHR, the same vehicle that was being driven by the defendant at the time of the stop. This evidence establishes clearly beyond that necessary for purposes of the preliminary examination probable cause to believe that it was the defendant that in fact shot Tiana Carruthers, Abigail Croft, Tyler Smith, Richard Smith, Dorothy Judy Brown, Barbara Hawthorne, Mary Jo Nye, and Mary Lou Nye. The stipulated two autopsy reports established that these were homicides. As to Mary Lou Nye, Mary Jo Nye, Barbara Hawthorne, and Dorothy Judy Brown, Richard Smith, and Tyler Smith. Abigail Croft, the testimony is established, was shot through the head. She was bleeding and there was other fluids leaking from her head. Tiana Carruthers was shot multiple times, both femurs, broken fragments in her liver, as well as a shoulder that need to be reconstructed. In addition to having been shot 4 times, multiple other shots were fired at Tiana Carruthers as established by the number of shell casings found at the scene. There is certainly probable cause here to believe that the defendant is guilty of the charges as listed in the complaint, and we would ask that he be bound over for trial in circuit court. Thank you.
Mr. Solis.
We'll leave it to the court's discretion based on the evidence that's been presented.
Very good. The purpose of a preliminary examination is to determine whether there's probable cause to believe that a crime was committed and whether there's probable cause to believe that the defendant committed it. Prosecution need not establish guilt beyond a reasonable doubt today, that's for a later date, but must present evidence sufficient to make a person of ordinary caution and prudence conscientiously entertain a reasonable belief of the defendant's guilt. I didn't count up how many witnesses that we heard today, but quite a few, and total of 11 exhibits, and we've got 16 counts that the defendant is charged with. And the court does find that as to count 1, which is open murder, based on the testimony of witnesses Richard Solomon, Cody Dene, Scott Brooks, Paul Planger, and Jeff Crump, and reviewing exhibits, admitted exhibits 1, 9, and 10, the court finds probable cause that on February 20, 2016, in Texas Township, Kalamazoo County, State of Michigan, that Mary Lou Nye was murdered with a handgun. Furthermore, the court finds probable cause that the defendant committed the murder. As to count 2, felony firearm, based upon the testimony of witnesses Richard Solomon, Cody Dene, Scott Brooks, Paul Planger, and Jeff Crump, and exhibits 9 and 10. And I'll say that I tried to keep track of, as I listened intently to each witness, which of the specific 16 counts their testimony related to. Some of them related to all of them, for instance, but so I may be excluding some of the witnesses, not intentionally, but these were the main ones that I focused on. The court finds as to count 2. The court finds probable cause that on February 20, 2016, in Texas Township, Kalamazoo County, State of Michigan, that the defendant committed the crime of murder, the victim being Mary Lou Nye. At the time, the defendant knowingly carried or possessed a firearm. As to count 3, open murder, based on the testimony of witnesses Richard Solomon, Cody Dene, Scott Brooks, Paul Planger, and Jeff Crump, in exhibits 2, 9, and 10, the court finds probable cause that on the evening of February 20, 2016, in Texas Township, Kalamazoo County, State of Michigan, Mary Jo Nye was murdered with a handgun. Furthermore, the court finds probable cause that the defendant committed the murder. As to count 4, felony firearm, based upon the testimony of witnesses Richard Solomon, Cody Dene, Scott Brooks, Paul Planger, and Jeff Crump, exhibits 9 and 10, the court finds probable cause that on February 20, 2016, in Texas Township, Kalamazoo County, State of Michigan, the defendant committed the crime of murder, the victim being Mary Jo Nye. At the time, the defendant knowingly carried or possessed a firearm. As to count 5, open murder, based on the testimony of witnesses Richard Solomon, Cody Dene, Scott Brooks, Paul Planger, and Jeff Crump, in exhibits 3, 9, and 10, the court finds probable cause that on the evening of February 20, 2016, in Texas Township, Kalamazoo County, State of Michigan, Barbara Hawthorne was murdered with a handgun. Further, the court finds probable cause that the defendant committed the murder. Count 6, felony firearm, based on the testimony of witnesses Richard Solomon, Cody Dene, Scott Brooks, Paul Planger, Jeff Crump, in exhibits 9 and 10, the court finds probable cause that on February 20, 2016, in Texas Township, Kalamazoo County, State of Michigan, the defendant committed the crime of murder, the victim being Barbara Hawthorne, and that at the time, the defendant knowingly or possessed a firearm. As to count 7, open murder, based upon the testimony of witnesses Solomon, Dene, Brooks, Planger, and Crump, in exhibits 4, 9, and 10, the court finds probable cause that on the evening of February 20, 2016, in Texas Township, Kalamazoo County, State of Michigan, Dorothy Brown was murdered with a handgun. Furthermore, the court finds probable cause that the defendant committed the murder. As to count 8, felony firearm, based on the testimony of witnesses Solomon, Dene, Brooks, Planger, and Crump, in exhibits 9 and 10, the court finds probable cause that on February 20, 2016, in Texas Township, Kalamazoo County, State of Michigan, the defendant committed the crime of murder, the victim being Dorothy Brown, and that at the time, the defendant knowingly carried or possessed a firearm. As to count 9, open murder, based upon the testimony of Alexis Cornish, Todd Neldon, Scott Brooks, Marcel Bainan, and Jeff Crump, in exhibits 5, 10, 11, and 12. And I should mention exhibit 12 is evidence of all of these all counts. The court finds probable cause that on the evening of February 20, 2016, in the city of Kalamazoo, Kalamazoo County, State of Michigan, Richard Smith was murdered with a handgun. Furthermore, the court finds probable cause that the defendant committed the murder. As to count 10, felony firearm. Make sure. Lose track. The court, based on the testimony of the witnesses, Alexis Cornish, Todd Neldon, Scott Brooks, Marcel Bainan, and Jeff Crump, and exhibits 10 and 12, the court finds probable cause that on the February 20, 2016, in the city of Kalamazoo, Kalamazoo County, state of Michigan, the defendant committed the crime of murder, the victim being Richard Smith, and at the time, the defendant knowingly carried or possessed a firearm. As to count 11, open murder, based on the testimony of the witnesses Alexis Cornish, Neldon, Brooks, Bainan, and Crump, exhibits 6, 10, and 12, the court finds probable cause that on February 20, 2016, in the city of Kalamazoo, Kalamazoo County, state of Michigan, Tyler Smith was murdered with a handgun. Furthermore, the court finds probable cause that the defendant committed the murder. Count 12, felony firearm, based on the testimony of witnesses Cornish, Neldon, Brooks, Bainan, and Crump, and exhibits 10 and 12, the court finds probable cause that on February 20, 2016, in the city of Kalamazoo, Kalamazoo County, state of Michigan, the defendant committed the crime of murder, the victim being Tyler Smith, and at the time, the defendant knowingly carried or possessed a firearm. As to count 13, assault with intent to murder, based on the testimony of witnesses Richard Solomon, Danae, Brooks, Blanger, and Crump, and exhibits 10 and 12. The court finds probable cause that on February 20, 2016, in Texas Township, Kalamazoo County, state of Michigan, the defendant tried to physically injure another person, that being A.K., a minor child. Second, that when the defendant committed the assault, he had the ability to cause an injury, or at least believed that he had the ability. And third, that the defendant intended to kill the person he assaulted. As to count 14, felony firearm, based on the testimony of witnesses Solomon, Danae, Brooks, Blanger, and Crump, in exhibits 10 and 12, the court finds probable cause that on February 20, 2016, in Texas Township, Kalamazoo County, state of Michigan, the defendant committed the crime of assault with intent to murder, and at the time, the defendant knowingly carried or possessed a firearm. As to count 15, assault with intent to murder, based on the testimony of witness Tiana Crothers, James Dunlop, Jeff Crump, and exhibits 10 and 12. The court finds probable cause that on February 20, 2016, in Richland Township, Kalamazoo County, state of Michigan, the defendant tried to physically injure another person, that being Tiana Crothers. Second, that when the defendant committed the assault, he had the ability to cause an injury, or at least believed that he had the ability. And third, that the defendant intended to kill the person he assaulted. The 16th and final count, felony firearm, based upon the testimony of witnesses Carruthers, Dunlop, and Crump, and exhibits 10 and 12. The court finds probable cause that on February 20, 2016, in Richland Township, Kalamazoo County, state of Michigan, the defendant committed the crime of assault with intent to murder, and that at the time the defendant committed, or the time the defendant knowingly carried or possessed a firearm. The court, having found that each of the 16 charges were committed, probable cause that the defendant committed the offenses, and that venue is proper in Kalamazoo County, the court hereby binds the defendant over to circuit court in this matter. I retrieve your witnesses. Anything else to come before the court at this time?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll retake this record, Your Honor.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Anybody who wants to, if you go up to the fourth floor, we'll give you a couple of minutes to answer any questions you might have. Okay? All right, I'll meet you there in 5. You want to meet me outside in a couple of minutes? No, it was awesome. Yeah, I'll go up there real quick and then.
I'm Jessica Harthorn. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, there's plenty more to see. Just take a second and subscribe to our channel.